Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And welcome into the Thursday edition of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Big Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope everybody's doing well. Keep it safe on the roadways out there. Lots of reports of some flooded roads out there. Several areas in our Middle Tennessee listing area have experienced more than 4 inches of rain over the course of the past few days. So make sure you're keeping it safe out there if you have to be out and about this morning. Joe Rexrode, how are we doing? What's going on?
Yeah, doing fine. Stay safe for sure. And I mean, I'm looking at the forecast, and I mean, it's like all day long. And I hope this doesn't affect people too much out there. I suppose this could potentially affect tonight. I don't know. It's sort of like it's like 100% for a while, and then at least it's like sort of more in the 60-70% range for part of the day. So hopefully we get some breaks.
I can tell you this: I'm way over the rain, beyond over it.
Yeah. Now we were talking the other day. They've canceled the events today.
Yeah.
Which is too bad. That stinks. And now you wonder, will this have any impact? Will this cause some shuffling, some scrambling over there with the ice?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a concern. And as of now, based on what they've said, the ice is good, but I imagine they're having to do a whole lot of refreezing and shoveling and refreezing again and shoveling and zamboning and all this other stuff. So going to be interesting to see what happens on that front. Michelle Knezvik, what's going on? How are we doing?
Hey guys, doing good. But yes, everybody, please drive safe this morning. I drove in, lots of water, drive slow, and be cautious. But yeah, Rob, I'm over the rain too. I just wanted some nice weather this week. I'm supposed to go to the Stadium Series. I hope it doesn't rain. So fingers crossed on that. It clears up for the weekend.
Yeah, hopefully it will. I think we've all got our fingers crossed for that. Michelle, big win by your Cats last night. It got hairy for the first part of that game, but they come through at the end.
Listen, same thing that happened in the Alabama game. I'm like, I could have gone without watching this first half, to be honest. I was very stressed. And then, of course, since we're up early, I fell asleep. So I'm watching the highlights right now. But I did wake up at about 3:45 and saw that we won. So that was great.
If you're going to wake up at 3:45, no better news to wake up to, I guess.
No better. I just checked my Twitter timeline. I'm like, okay, because I know a lot of the media people there. I'm like, okay, where's this person? Okay, got it. Yep. And then I fell back asleep for a couple more minutes, and it was all was well in my world over here.
Yeah, I stayed up last night watching the Lightning and the Oilers play, which, of course, the Lightning coming in here this weekend. And then I stayed up watching some other world events taking place last night. So not much sleep going on today.
Yeah, boy, not great. Let's see. The last report I saw, 40 confirmed dead by Ukraine. So who knows where this goes? We're talking weather. We're talking world affairs.
We're the only show in town. We can talk all these things.
That's right.
Taking your thoughts all day long on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe, the day has arrived. Pecorine Day officially here for the Nashville Predators. You were at the luncheon yesterday for Pecorine. What was that like? We all came out and saw Pecorine yesterday.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a very cool event. Let's see. You had a full ballroom packed at the Grand Hyatt, and of course fans could come and support the 365 fund. And obviously there was, this was a lot around what Pecorine and Shea Weber have done, and now kind of pass the torch to Roman Yossi, in terms of pediatric cancer, fighting it and being with these kids and having relationships with them. And, it's well documented, Pekka Rinne, what he has meant to people. And I would also say, just as I'm thinking about it, Brooks Bratton had a really great piece about Pekka Rinne and a local kid and their relationship at the Preds official site. So check that out. But yeah, it was a great event. Chris Mason and Hal Gill. It was Pete Weber emceeing, and we had some country music that was nice. We had a painter over
Nice.
to the side painting a picture of Pekka Rinne
Wow.
in real time as the banquet went on. The painting was materializing to the left of the stage, and then the bulk of it was I think Pekka Rinne had to come up like 3 different times to talk. He got an award from Middle Tennessee pediatricians, and then Hal Gill and Chris Mason was the bulk of the program. Was those 2 guys asking him questions. So it was good. There was a lot of interesting stuff in there, and then we got to talk to Pekka again after the I guess there were about 5 of us who talked to him afterward, and you get to see his wife and his kid, and his parents were there. Like the Rinne clan is here in full force. I mean, anybody you can think of, in the hockey, in the Preds universe was there. So it was good. I really enjoyed Hal Gill talking about the first time he got traded to the Preds, and we'll have Hal on later. We can get more info on this.
Oh yeah.
The first time he was traded to the Preds, or shortly after his trade, he's like, I'm trying to figure out what these guys are all about. And like, he was like in a car, they were going to like a golf outing, like kind of road trip to Arizona or something. And he was in a car with Pekka Rinne, and then I'm trying to think, it was like Shea Weber and somebody else in the other car. But anyway, he was like, are these guys cool or whatever? He did the golf course, and he's like, as soon as Pekka Rinne saw that the beer cart was there, he did a cartwhile, and it was, he's like, all right, I'm going to like these guys, so, it was cool. I mean, the whole week, I know that, I talked to Peck on Monday, and it was like, how many of the same question have you been asked? He's like, yeah, well, quite a few. And then he got asked like a lot of the same ones yesterday, and it'll happen again today.
Oh yeah.
After, I think it's like at 10 a.m. he's available at Bridgestone, and it's a lot of reminiscing, a lot of similar questions. There are some similarities even to the conversation from a year ago, because obviously it's just been a year, but it's a great reminder of, I think yesterday, of like, man, it's going to be hard to top this guy in this town, just in terms of universal appeal, universal approval. Pekka Rinne, he's gonna loom large over Nashville sports for a long time. And also, I think he said he's not sure what their long-term plans are, but I think he's still going to be at least a part-time Nashvilleian moving forward.
Yeah, I think so too, which is really cool. I will say, the Preds tweeted out a photo yesterday. It was really cool, of just, hanging out in the locker room. I think Pete Weber was talking, which is always an adventure if you know Pete Weber. And then there's Pekka, Roman Josi, and Shea Weber in the locker room for the Predators, just laughing it up. And, obviously this week is about Pekka. I will say it's good to see Shea Weber around, because I do think there was, in the immediate aftermath of the trade, I think it's fair to say there were probably some hard feelings on his part to what happened here. And, obviously you get to the Stanley Cup final the next year after you trade him. I don't know what his relationship is like with the entire organization. I don't know what it's like with David Boyle, but it's pretty good to see him around here for this. And a really cool photo Predators put out there yesterday.
That was a very cool photo. Yeah, unfortunately, so Shea Weber, his flight got delayed like in Minneapolis or something yesterday. So he wasn't able to be at the thing yesterday. But yeah, so now he's here, and yeah, huge part of this. And yeah, that is interesting. I mean, actually, one of the things yesterday is, Pekka Rinne talking to David Poile. I mean, they kind of asked him about a lot of different people, who have been important to him along the way. And he had some really nice things to say about David Poile. And again, that's where, like, I mean, you remember Shea Weber's presser when he came back the year after being traded. And I don't remember who asked him about Poile, but it was like, yeah, I'd rather not talk about that, but that's how it goes. I mean, in pro sports, usually not, I don't know if it's usually, yeah. I mean, for the most part, even so, Jarrell Casey kind of mends fences with the Titans, but obviously he had very hard feelings when they traded him. I mean, inevitably, a lot of these players you choose, you trade for, you draft, and at some point you're going to cut them or trade them, and it's hard to maintain like really tight relationships with the GM of your team, you know. So that's another thing. It's like Pecorini and David Poyle, you know, like the closeness. I mean, the whole career arc, just again, from day one all the way to the end, there's one uniform, you know, that he ever was affiliated with. Well, two, I guess, the Admirals and the Preds, you know. So it's a rarity.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what this is going to be like for him. I mean, he's always been a guy that has worn his emotions on his sleeve. I remember when he won his 300th game and just, getting emotional on the bench with Kara Hammer. Obviously, the lap last year against Carolina, when we thought that was probably going to be it for Pekka. I'm interested tonight when the ceremony takes place, like what's going to be going through his mind and what it's going to be like for him. I would imagine there will be some tears shed, both from his point and from the crowd as well. Just a guess, but I imagine that's what takes place.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. And I'm really interested to see. And look, I know that like yesterday, a lot of members of the organization were like rehearsing, parts of the hour of the program tonight for Pecorine, like it's a big, filling an hour, man, that's a lot. That is a lot. So I'm very interested to see what they have planned and what they've come up with for this. I'm sure it's going to be really good.
We will take your thoughts on Pecorine all show today here on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Catfish Jake tweeting in says, favorite memory is being at his last game, a shutout with my 12-year-old son. Witnessed history together. Second favorite is Game 6 Stanley Cup Final. He was phenomenal in that game. Catfish Jake tweeting that in on Twitter. We'll take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. When we come back, a little bit of a bombshell thrown out there last night that could put a damper on this week for the Nashville Predators. We'll get into more of that coming up on the other side. I've got some new information on that as well, so we'll get to that coming up on the other side as well. Let me tell you about my friends at Jasper's. It's the neighborhood bar and restaurant to catch the next Preds game. Jasper's is located on West End Avenue and offers a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, and a large bar and lounge area. Plus, they offer free parking. That's right, free parking on West End and other specials for every game day as well, including $10 smash burgers and $3 bottle domestics as well. So make sure you come on down to Jasper's for the next Preds game day for happy hour every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. and 2-for-1 beers all day long on Sundays. Just tell them that Robby Stanley sent you.
PM for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jarrett Stillman and Company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood, give local, give life.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, welcomes you with a special offer on the NHL, an official sports betting partner of BetMGM. Simply place a $10 moneyline wager on any game, and if either team scores a goal, you're going to win $200 in free bets, regardless of your bet's outcome. Just use the bonus code 1025GAME200 when you make your first bet. Plus, you'll earn BetMGM rewards points that can be redeemed for online bonuses or converted into comps for rooms, restaurants, and more at over 20 MGM resorts nationwide. Just download the app or go to BetMGM.com and use the bonus code 1025GAME200 to win $200 in free bets if a goal is scored in the game you wager on. Visit BetMGM.com for full list of terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as the Nashville Predators take on the Tampa Bay Lightning this Saturday night. Puck drops at 6:30, but the party starts at 6 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
It's time. Time to get in shape. Hit the gym. Work up a sweat. You're going to need some energy. A lot of energy. A 5-hour energy. With vitamins and essential nutrients, they provide an alert, energized feeling that keeps you going, all without sugar or herbal stimulants. Are you ready? 5-Hour Energy, for every workout. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the course keeps changing right before your eyes. And in order to maneuver it, you need an expert by your side. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PC and tech solutions you need to help you get out in front and stay ahead of the game. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee, taking your thoughts on the Predators. We'll get to a report on Philip Forsberg coming up here in just a few minutes. Right now, let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Ryan from Nashville, who wants to weigh in. Ryan, thanks for calling in to Robby and Rexrode.
Morning, guys. I got to say, my two favorite memories of Pekka has to be the All-Star game when Dirk figured it out and gave him the guitar to play goalie with instead of he was sick, and him looking around like, how am I going to do this? And the other one had to be Game 3 after an Stanley Cup playoffs, after losing the 2 in Pittsburgh, to see the bowl filled, and the minute Pekka took the net for warm-ups, the entire bowl started chanting his name, and it just, I thought that was the most amazing thing ever, because you know warm-ups, it's never full, and that one game, the entire bowl was full just to see him take the net and team to get on the ice.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. Thanks for the call, Ryan. The Dirk Bentley thing was funny in the All-Star game and the skills competition when he's, trying to make a stick save with a guitar out there. That was good stuff. I will say, to Ryan's point, and I think Pekka was certainly a big part of why people filled the bowl up, but we talked about it yesterday. Just that atmosphere in Game 3 of the Cup final, everybody kind of soaking that in together. That was awesome. And obviously when he came out there, they're down 0-2 in the series, and that place just erupted for Pekka Rinne when they came out there for warm-ups. That was pretty cool stuff.
No question about it. That was, it's funny because I was actually just thinking about this yesterday with as Chris Mason's up there emceeing, the conversation with Pekka Rinne, like between games 2 and 3, and we've talked about this with Laviolette too, the whole, like, the door left like open a little bit on a goalie change, and I actually, I wrote something in there, and I remember I talked to Chris Mason. Like, I got Chris Mason on the phone, and I was like, all right. Most of it was just like, what do you think of, like, Pekka so far in the series and stuff? But as we got into the whole goalie change, he was just like, dude, come on. I'm like, I don't think it's real either. I'm just saying. Lavi won't just, close the door on it. But everybody knew that he was going to be in goal, and you're right. That was, of all those, like, so many, those timeouts with the fans and everything, that was that, and then followed up by how he played in that game and in Game 4. What just that whole series though was just so wacky, because it was so good at home and so not in Pittsburgh. But those two games, that's got to be, that's the height of the franchise history. That's, tying up a Stanley Cup final in Game 4 and setting yourself up for a 3-game series to win the Cup.
Yeah, like, it's one of those things that you brought up Game 4, and like a memory just starts coming flooding back to me. Like, in our job, Joe, and this, like, it's very difficult to, like, sometimes recognize, I guess, the emotion of the moment at the time, because, we're removed from it a little bit from fans, and we're trying to, do our job as we're watching this. I will say I can remember the play in my head where Crosby's coming down on a breakaway in Game 4, and he goes to the backhand. Pekka makes the first save. There's a scramble in front of the net. I can hear the call in my head, and Kunitz is in there digging for the puck, and he dives back and makes it. I remember in real time, like, as loud as that place got and the save that Pekka made on that play, like, I got full body chills just watching it. And then they come back and they win that game. It's just, there's iconic moments. That was one of those for Pekka, was that kind of sequence of saves where he's totally out of control. And this is what makes it interesting, like between him and Saros, because you don't see this happen a lot with Saros, with like the just full on scramble mode save. That was Pekka's specialty. When it looked like he was totally out, he could find a way to get back in there and battle and make a save. Now, I'm not saying Saros doesn't battle. I'm just saying they're very different in the way that they go about it.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, Saros post to post it's astounding how easy he makes it look and how much ground he can cover. But yeah, it is almost seriously like watching two different positions if you really watch those two guys play, which is very interesting. The Preds back to back have guys who are so different from Finland, so close, and as it turns out, it looks like, both so good.
Yeah, there is that too. Joe, last night, a report thrown out there by Andy Strickland, who is a ringside reporter of Valley Sports for the Midwest, covers the St. Louis Blues. Andy Strickland has been around for a long time. He's been covering the NHL for more than 20 years. Andy Strickland putting out a report last night says, quote, hearing the Preds are actively shopping superstar Philip Forsberg. The Preds are actively shopping superstar Philip Forsberg. So obviously, I saw that tweet, and that raised my eyebrows quite a bit. I sent it to you all in the text message, and that has since caused a lot of traction, lots of conversation on Twitter as well. My first thoughts on this when I saw it was, man, the timing on that seems really weird, because David Poyle went on, the midday show, Darren Donick and Chase last week, talking about they want to sign Philip Forsberg. And they says, basically, if you sign Philip Forsberg, the team's going one way. And if you don't sign Philip Forsberg, you're probably thinking about other things as the team. Here we are. We're, still basically a month away from the trade deadline. And now there's a report out there that the Predators are actively shopping. Now, people have taken this and kind of run a few different ways with it. Some people hear that report and they say, well, of course, if you're David Poyle, you want to see what the interest level is and gauge what you could get back for Philip Forsberg. To me, Joe, I think there's a difference, and I could be wrong. I view it as a difference between gauging interest and actively shopping. To me, those are two very different things when it comes to Philip Forsberg. What was your reaction to this when you saw Strickland's report that the Predators are actively shopping Philip Forsberg? And what do you think that means in terms of the way that contract negotiations have gone between Forsberg and the Predators?
Well, I guess I'm still figuring out my reaction to this. I mean, my initial reaction on our text thread was, what's this guy know? So first of all, tell you, you mentioned that he had Granlund first. He has a fair amount of league news, not just like Blues stuff.
Yeah, he'll come up with some league news. And I will say, and I remember, we had a conversation with Adam on our show the day of free agency last year. And we were basically talking about, Granlund's gone at that point. And Adam's information was right on that. I mean, I think all indications were that they had tried to come together. A deal wasn't going to be reached, and Granlund was going to reach the market. And then, as we know, about an hour later, Granlund, right when free agency opened, signed with the Predators. The first person that I saw who had that was Andy Strickland. So, look, that doesn't mean that, he's absolutely right that, the Philip Forsberg's just going to get traded at some point here. But I think if you're out there and you're just brushing it off because it's a reporter from St. Louis, I don't know that I would do that either.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. So it could be a number of things, but one thing that bothers me about, first of all, we've talked a little bit on Twitter, Jeremy Gover was weighing in last night too on what this could mean. David Poyle, in my experience, is just not one of the GMs, I think, who says a lot to anyone and doesn't seem like someone who likes to float things to help in negotiations. I also, I find it very doubtful that David Poyle would want this talked about this week, right? I mean, like, I can't imagine that he is happy to see that now this week, which should be all about Pecorine, this team, the Stadium Series, is now getting a new injection of Forsberg panic.
Right.
So that with that in mind, I'm assuming this still has some indication, or gives some indication, that the negotiations aren't going great. And I, again, go back to that Darren Donick and Chase interview with Poyle. It sounded to me like someone who was a little maybe frustrated or motivated to push the other side on the negotiations.
I will say this: when I saw this report from Strickland yesterday, my initial reaction was, okay, that tells me one of two things. If this is true and the Predators are, quote, actively shopping Philip Forsberg, that tells me that either Forsberg has told them that, hey, I'm taking this thing to market. It's just not going to happen. I'm not saying I'm not going to sign with you, but I'm going to market and I want to see what goes on there. Or that they're just so far apart on contract negotiations that both sides are just kind of throwing their hands up in the air and saying, all right, why are we even talking about this anymore? That was my initial reaction when I saw this. Now, I can tell you that according to one of my sources, Philip Forsberg has not told the Predators that he doesn't want to stay. I can tell you that Philip Forsberg has not told the Predators, hey, I don't want to be here. I can tell you that. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that they're just automatically going to come to a deal? No. I mean, the business part of this has to work out. But, we've talked about this before. If Forsberg ever told them that, I would have been really surprised. And according to my source, Forsberg has not told them that he did not want to stay as a Nashville Predator, which honestly, Joe, it kind of makes this even weirder to me, because if he's not told you that, why would you be actively shopping him a month before the deadline? 2 weeks, a week before the deadline, and you're still not any closer to a deal, then yeah, at that point, I think you start looking around if that's the way you feel you want to go. But a month out, I feel like there's still a lot of time to try and work on this if you're David Poile and the Predators.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's good reporting on your part, and that's important because, if it was that, then it's like, okay, well, you've got to start thinking about other things. You got to get yourself ready. You got to protect yourself. If it's just that they're that far apart, why couldn't they get closer next week? Why couldn't they get closer the week after? Are they just at an impasse, like you said, where it's just like, it's just there's a chasm between both sides. I guess that's probably it. But again, I'd love to, of course, would love to know how this came about, where this is coming from. Typically, you figure it's an agent or it's someone with another team who had just had a call with David Poile, who maybe someone who is more willing to talk to reporters about stuff like this and say, yeah, just got a call from Poile, and man, they are looking to shop Forsberg, But regardless, again, like this, like David Poile cannot be happy, to me, that this has become a thing this week.
Yeah, the timing of it certainly does not work out well for the Predators this week. Let's take your reaction on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. What do you make of the report from Andy Strickland that the Predators are, quote, actively shopping Philip Forsberg? We'll get into more of that coming up on the other side. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. And this is Smashville.
Forsberg a shot, broken up in front, give it back to Forsberg, and here come the Habs.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Mucinex presents Trusted Allies of Doctors. Throughout history, doctors have used tools they trust to help them treat your illnesses. But what do they trust when they have a cough and cold? Mucinex, the #1 brand doctors trust.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now, and they have same-day delivery. Use Social Furniture's financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time, they have designer sofas, solid wood bedroom furniture, leather sofas, and sectionals in stock now. Social Furniture's President's Day sale going on now through President's Day. Visit Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local. Shop social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
President's Day is here, and that means huge savings at Electronic Express. You'll find great deals in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops, tablets, speakers, headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs, in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop the President's Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the course keeps changing right before your eyes. And in order to maneuver it, you need an expert by your side. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PC and tech solutions you need to help you get out in front and stay ahead of the game. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Got a party of 10 coming in. We need to flip those 2 tables.
Leah's restaurant is fully booked night after night.
Section 3 is still behind.
She no longer has reservations about finally finding a hostess.
Why doesn't 23 have menus? Oh, because they're in my hand.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the world is throwing everything it has at you. And to succeed, you need someone to guide you through. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice to help you navigate whatever challenges you're up against and get you safely to where you want to be. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Saturday.
Pippen moving right to left, weaves his way in, lays it home. Nicely done.
The Commodores of Vanderbilt hit the road to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Coverage begins at 11:30 on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ESPN 102.5 The Game is Nashville's official home of NASCAR. Tune in this Sunday at 1:30 for the Wise Power 400 at the Auto Club Speedway. Also get set for the race with Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Talking Nashville Predators, a report from Andy Strickland last night that the Predators are, quote, actively shopping Philip Forsberg. And we're just discussing our reaction to that, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Again, I can tell you that according to my source, Philip Forsberg has not told the Predators that he doesn't want to stay a Predator. Now, that also does not mean that he has told them that I'm going to be here no matter what. So I think it's important to kind of establish that. All I'm saying is my source has told me that Philip Forsberg has not told the Predators, hey, I don't want to be here. So that to me is important, because if he's not said that, this report is interesting to me in terms of the timing of it, because Joe, I feel like if you're David Poile and you want to sign Philip Forsberg, which I think he's made pretty clear that he does, to me, like, you're exhausting every option that you have at your disposal, and you're taking it down as close to the wire as you can take it before you're just forced to make a decision of, all right, it's just not going to happen, and there's too much value in this guy to just let him walk for nothing. I mean, we've talked about it. They're in a playoff spot right now. If you get rid of Forsberg, what does that do to this team? Is that something, David Poile would even do? Like, would he treat Philip Forsberg as a rental player? Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. I certainly understand if you know you're going to lose him, wanting to get back all the assets that you can But to me, it's important to establish that, because I feel like if you're the Predators and you really want to sign him, you're going to take this down as long as you can take it, unless you just know that it's hopeless.
Yeah, and it's and I like what if what if Forsberg, he's basically been on a tear all year, but what if he stays on a tear, goes on more of a tear, and that's a big part of this team going on. Look, this team still could absolutely get second in the division. That's still there for the taking if this team got hot. So what if that happens and all of a sudden a month from now you're right up against the deadline, nothing has changed in negotiations, and you're looking at like a real chance to do something. I guess in that situation you would look at it like, well, Philip Forsberg is your rental, but then there's the other way, and I'm sure the truth will be somewhere in between. But the other way is you're on the fringe. You're on the fringe, and if you trade him, there's a good chance that you'll fall on the other side of it, and you won't be in the tournament. What if that's the case? But at the same time, you're not optimistic at all. There's a lot of time, as you said, for them to talk this through and figure this out. That's why this is so surprising to see that, that term, actively shopping, at this point.
Yeah.
And with your information, which is very important, that it's not a case of, okay, like that would almost be, be the player doing the club a solid, say, look, it's just not going to happen. I don't think that happens very often.
No.
But certainly your mind goes to that when you see something like this. Like, do they know like that it's just not going to happen? No, apparently it's just that they're still far apart. So why now is this a thing that has seen the light of day?
I don't know. That's an interesting question, and that's, I think, what you have to get to the bottom to. Now maybe it is, it could be as simple as, somebody calls David Poyle and says, all right, well, are you willing to trade Philip Forsberg? Here's my offer. And David Poyle goes, well, we're not willing to trade him right now, but that offer is, we'll be listening up until the trade deadline. Well, like, is that conversation of listening to trade offers that you have with one general manager that leaks to a reporter, that leaks to an agent, is that actively shopping? Like, I guess a lot of this probably depends on what your definition of actively shopping is, because I read actively shopping and listening to offers as two very different things, but maybe other people view it differently. I don't know.
Well, and that's exactly right. And it may not sound like a big deal, but that is a big difference. Those words are very important. And that's where I'm just not very familiar with this particular reporter. But like you said, he's been doing this for a long time. He doesn't just report on Blues stuff. So, for a Preds fan who, and I know this happens a lot, if it's not one of your traditional like NHL newsbreakers or whatever league we're talking about, right? For anybody who wants to dismiss this as just someone just throwing something against the wall, that doesn't add up. That doesn't make sense based on his track record. Credibility is everything in this business. So there are people who don't have it and who throw things around. And this person has been in the business a long time and knows, I would presume knows how you're supposed to do the job. And I would also presume would not just throw those particular words out.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't think so. Like, actively shopping to me tells me that David Poyle is like, all right, I'm taking offers on Philip Forsberg. Get them to me. We're shopping this. We're going with this now. And
if that's the case, that could still be just a Poyle strategy to try to, it's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy in real life. It's like, if we're punishing one of our kids, it's like, okay, I'm holding your phone right now.
Yeah.
You want this for the next month or not?
Right.
Because, it's in my hand. I'm taking it. Or you can do the dishes. That's a terrible analogy, but you know what I'm saying. Poyle deciding, I guess, like, hey, you know what? Let's just start having conversations with other people if we're going to be this far apart with them. Poyle, who, again, went on Darren Donick and Chase and said things that and maybe it's worth even bringing back those comments today at some point, but said things that to me, like, I maybe some people would hear them differently now, but it sounded to me like maybe a little bit of frustration with Forsberg's agent at that point. That's how I heard it.
Yeah. Let's go to our text line driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Ryan in Nashville texting in says actively shopping Forsberg could also mean asking teams what they will pay for him in free agency to see what the price tag will be as well. Maybe, but I don't know that teams are, number one, I don't know that teams would tell the Predators what they're going to pay him in free agency. And number two, if you're a team that's interested in Philip Forsberg, like, are you really thinking about that right now when he's not in market? I would be pretty shocked if that's what actively shopping means.
Yeah, I think GMs talk about what they'd give each other, but I don't think there's a lot of, so in June, what are you going to try to pay him? I doubt there'd be a lot of, if a GM asks the other GM that, the other GM would probably be like, yeah, anyway, so how you doing, David?
Right.
How's the family? Yeah, let's change the subject.
Let's go back to the text. I got a text that says, in life, people in sports say he's day to day. Every human being is day to day. When they say someone is being actively shopped in the NHL, that could just be a GM making calls and seeing how the deal's going. If it doesn't start to work out, let us know what's going to take to get him. And that happens every day in the NHL. Andy's a great reporter, but it kind of seems like he might be stirring the pot a little bit right now. Andy does host the #1 rated podcast in the NHL and on iTunes. He's extremely credible. Yes, he does. Cam and Strickland, great podcast. So, like, again, I'm not taking any issue with Andy Strickland here. Like,
yeah,
he's a credible reporter, and I have no issue with him. I'm wondering what actively shopping actually means.
Well, and here's the thing. You've already added to this report with your reporting, and I know your sources are very good. There are others who are going to do the same today. And I would imagine, some of the guys who typically have a lot of this stuff are in the league are going to poke around on this. There's going to be probably more pretty soon to flesh this out too, and kind of give a little bit better picture of what exactly that means.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, the Dragers and the LeBruns and the Friedmans of the world that typically break a lot of news in the NHL, I'd imagine they'll probably be looking into this today. So it's probably not the last we're going to hear of it the next few days. We'll continue the conversation on Philip Forsberg. Got more of your thoughts to get to on our text line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Another wet start for us this morning. Watch out for ponding on the roadways and localized flash flooding. More rain this afternoon and evening.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
The 2022 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament is back in Nashville as Bridgestone Arena hosts the annual celebration of SEC's Women's Hoops March 2nd through the 6th. Join us and experience the bright lights of the Music City as we crown a champion. Tickets are on sale now, so contact your university ticket office or head to secsports.com. SEC Women's Basketball. It just means more.
Joe Rexrode here for FanDuel Sportsbook. The second half of the NBA season is here, folks, and you can turn every Thursday into payday with NBA on TNT on FanDuel Sportsbook. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. FanDuel is giving all customers $10 back every Thursday in site credit. Just bet a $10 or more same-game parlay on any NBA on TNT game. Same-game parlays let you combine the money line, point spread, player props. Same-game parlays, of course, let you combine the money line, point spread, all kinds of different player props into one wager. Small bet. Big time score, and win or lose, you're guaranteed to get $10 added to your account. It's one of many reasons I love betting the NBA on FanDuel Sportsbook. It's very easy to use. That's important for me. The odds boosts and specials, as we discussed, live betting. It's a great deal. It's a lot of fun. You get $10 back every Thursday in site credit with TNT Thursdays. And if you're new to FanDuel, just sign up with promo code Joe102. Make every moment more this NBA season. Promo code Joe102. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued is now withdrawable site credit expires in 7 days. Max bonus $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789. Since their doors opened in 1898 in England, Arkansas, Bank of England Mortgage has been providing down-home exceptional service. Bank of England's success is due to the talent of their loan officers and their access to hundreds of mortgage products at the industry's best pricing. Bank of England Mortgage has 3 Middle Tennessee locations ready to serve you. Go to BOE1214.com or call 615-823-1215. Bank of England Mortgage is a division of Bank of England Mortgage. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS 418-481.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high-quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop into Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands, including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
Are you sick of your dead-end job? Do you crave a career with a better work-life balance, better lifestyle, or maybe you'd like to work from home? It's a new year. Time for a new career in IT. At My Computer Career, you could start your career in months, not years. Attend classes day or night, live online. And we've rolled back tuition to help meet the demand for IT workers. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
One win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Well, 102.5 The Game this Saturday night for the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade. You can have drink specials, enter to win Preds tickets, and watch the Preds take on the Tampa Bay Lightning at Nissan Stadium. It's the Preds Bud Light Watch Party at Headquarters Beercade, located at 114 2nd Avenue South downtown. The puck drops at 6:30 coming up on Saturday night. This is a Preds game day, by the way. 102.5 The Game Preds Game Day broadcast brought to you by Hermitage Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens, and baths on the web at gohermitage.com. We are discussing Philip Forsberg and the trade deadline. A report last night from Andy Strickland that Philip Forsberg, the Predators are actively shopping, was the term used. Philip Forsberg last night in the report by Andy Strickland. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Devin from Dover texting in says, if they trade Forsberg, it better be for somebody who can plug in right on that top line, because I'm here to tell you, I don't see anyone else on this team that's ready to fill Forsberg's skates. I'm talking like Brock Besser or Mitch Marner. Well, I can tell you, neither one of those guys are getting traded for Philip Forsberg.
No.
I mean, if you're trading Philip Forsberg, he still doesn't have a contract. You're not getting, a Mitch Marner type player. First off, if Forsberg was signed to an 8-year deal, the Leafs are not trading Forsberg for Marner. So I would be shocked by that. But that's the thing. Like, the return, most likely, you might get an NHL player that could help you right now as a part of the package. But most likely, the return is probably going to be, a couple of picks and a high-level prospect, or one pick and a couple of high-level prospects. It's something that could help you down the road. It's hard for me to envision a scenario where you're trading Forsberg and you're getting anywhere near better right now, which is something to keep in mind.
No, it's a step back to try to take step forwards later move. It's going to be. You're going to be worse in the short term. Period.
Well, and that's what I think makes this so difficult. I thought it was interesting to hear Poile. We've said it, we've thought it. I thought it was interesting to hear Poile admit it last week on Darren, Donick, and Chase, because he's basically like, if we sign Philip Forsberg, that kind of takes us in one direction as a team. And if we don't, kind of takes us in a different direction as a team. I think we all kind of know that, but to hear the general manager come out and say that, I thought was pretty interesting last week.
Yeah. Well, and look, I can even read into that comment, that could be read a little bit like, Philip, Do you want this franchise? There's a lot on you, Philip. A lot of people are counting on you. We'd like to win and go in that direction. But, if your contract's that important, then we go in the other direction. I'm not saying that's what he was doing, but you could read it that way.
Well, and look, I think the thing to keep in mind here too is, you're less than a month away from the deadline now. David Poyle's talked about this. There's got to start to be some urgency on both sides. I think both JP Barry, who is Forsberg's agent, and David Poyle, they've been through this a lot. They know what they're doing. And what may seem like a really urgent situation to the fan base and to us right now, really all it takes is you sit down. You can hammer a deal out in a day if you really want to. So I know the timeline is getting close to being freak out time, but to me, unless you're just totally miles apart, and I can't imagine, I'm sure they're apart, obviously, because there's no deal right now. I can't imagine they're that far apart, right? Is Forsberg wanting an 8-year, $80 million deal, and the Predators is like, yeah, we'll give you 3 for 20. What? I can't imagine you're that far apart.
I wouldn't. I know. I think the same thing. Yeah, unless again, there's just you can always on the player agent side say, look, why settle when the market is going to be better? Yeah. But the club has that advantage. So is it that Poyle? I've heard a lot of Preds fans say no more long-term deals. Is that Poyle's? Is that now Poyle's policy? He just isn't telling anybody, because that advantage of that extra year you can offer, which means, of course, that you can offer more guaranteed money just by having that extra year, you would think would, and that's why I think there's been a lot of optimism about this. You would think that would close the gap pretty well.
Well, and one thing I've always thought about with this negotiation in particular is we've talked about Forsberg. We all saw it on Instagram last year. I talked to him about it before the season started, watching Ryan Ellis and Victor Arvidsson get traded. Obviously he's upset by that. I think it's pretty clear at this point. If I'm Philip Forsberg and I've just watched that happen, there's probably, I wouldn't say there's no way. I am fighting tooth and nail if I'm Philip Forsberg and his representation. Yeah, whatever deal I sign, it's going to be a full no movement clause, because I'm not signing a deal and then you trading me 2 years later.
Yeah, no, that's certainly on the menu of possibilities of where is there just a sticking point that's both sides nope, not moving off that. That seems like a pretty good place to look, because I would totally understand a player wanting that, and we know that David Poyle has tried like the Dickens to avoid those things, and it's starting to erode on him a little bit,
Well, yeah, he had to give it to Yossi. I don't think there's any question about that. There's a partial no movement clause to Matt Duchene, so it's changed a little bit as of late. But we talked about this the day after Ryan Ellis got traded. You can think what you will of the Ryan Ellis trade, and I think obviously, given that Ryan Ellis has played four games this year and they've shut him down, probably a pretty good idea to move on from that contract. But number one, that's why David Poyle doesn't like signing people to no movement clauses, so you can move on from a contract like that. And number two, if you're a player like Ryan Ellis, I think it's fair to say took less money to sign here. I think he could have made more money on the open market. Yeah. And he signed here because number one, he wanted to be here. But number two, your money goes longer, farther here with a no state income tax. When you get traded to Philadelphia, the contract that you signed here, it's not the same in Philadelphia. The money is less in Philadelphia. So if I'm a player and I've just watched Arvidsson get traded and I've just watched Ellis get traded, especially a player of the caliber of Philip Forsberg, I don't even know that I'm signing a deal without a no movement clause. That's me. I'm not saying that's the way Forsberg feels. I could just see that being a pretty major sticking point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. Those deals that those guys were signing also, there was a run of what I would call team friendly. Now, granted, the term was, was long, but again, when you can move on, that's why you do that. But I feel like a lot of those deals also, it was kind of all in that time period where it looked, they liked each other. They liked playing here, and they had a team that looked like it was going to be a contender for several years. I think there's a lot of factors there that was hey, let's all stick together and, and do something here special. I think that helped David Poile. So building the team he did that was that competitive helped him, I think, put together a lot of pretty team-friendly deals. And now it's obviously a little bit different. It's just the question of, like, even though it's been obviously a very good year, it's not quite the same, right? And there's still a time, if you're Forsberg, I can see, you could still see greener pastures elsewhere if you're looking around the league potentially.
Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Got a texture that says, is this the same reporter that said they were going to trade Ekholm last year? I don't know what Andy Strickland said about Matthias Ekholm last year. I will say,
I don't think so, though.
I don't think so. And look, the Ekholm chatter, I know that he's still here, and I know that obviously he has signed a contract. I don't think we were that far away from Ekholm probably being on the move last year. Like, think about, mid-February last year, the Predators were awful, and you were getting close to having to make a decision if you were David Poile. And then they turned things around. And by the time the day of the deadline came around, the Predators were in the mix. Like, if the Predators had continued to not be in the mix, I think Ekholm wouldn't be here right now. So, I mean, I don't know that. That's just my guess. So, I get it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be skeptical of the Predators trading Philip Forsberg. I am just saying, like, just because Ekholm didn't get traded last year, to me, doesn't mean that the chatter around that wasn't real.
There's a totally different reality if they don't do a 180 last season, and very possibly includes him playing elsewhere right now.
Go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Craig texting in says, I don't think they're calling teams, but are listening to offers, as Poile should do if he's a good general manager. This could be a good thing. Maybe make Forsberg take a deal if he wants to remain in Nashville. Again, I'm not dismissing the idea that maybe this could be a negotiating tactic. To your point, number one, the timing of it, it's very hard for me to believe that David Poile would want something like that out this week, with Pekka Rinne's jersey retirement being tonight and the Stadium Series coming out. And number two, it's just not typically the way that he operates in contract negotiations. So I don't know that I buy that this is all coming from Poile.
Yeah, I don't either. It would not be like him. Now, again, apparently, maybe that was different. I know we probably don't have time to get into all this, but maybe that was different back in the Suter days, potentially, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure, look, at some point in a GM's tenure, there's, it's you look at media and you say, well, I can use this to my advantage. Let a little information go here or there. Some do it all the time. David Poile, but from my understanding of things, is not that guy. And again, like, this week is not when you want this happening. I mean, today's Pekka Rinne Day, and we're talking about Philip Forsberg, and and that's not what you want if you're David Poile. So that's hard. I mean, and if you're him, did he give this to someone and say, but don't say it yet, wait till next week?
Right.
Right. I think David Poile's been around the block a couple times more, too many times to make that mistake.
I would say so. We'll continue to take your thoughts on Philip Forsberg and the Nashville Predators. As we said to start the show, taking your thoughts on your favorite Pekka Rinne moment all show long as well on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Could this franchise be at a crossroads? We'll get to that coming up on the other side as well. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
Now, you may say, well, a quarterback is more important than a running back. That's fine. You can say whatever you want.
The voice of the fan.
Even if we have to develop him while he's playing, I just want a boring first-round pick.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Coheed and Cambria. A window of the Waking Mind tour with special guests Dance, Kevin Dance, and Mothika. Coheed and Cambria, live in concert. Nashville Municipal Auditorium, Saturday, July 23rd. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com.
It was just so sparkly and just white. It's just the purest diamond.
That's Mallory Irvin, Miss America runner-up and 3-time contestant on The Amazing Race, talking about her ring from Genesis Diamonds.
It's my favorite thing I've ever owned in my life, and probably my favorite thing I ever will own unless I get another ring from Genesis.
Mallory has a stunning GIA certified diamond in a setting that Genesis custom designed just for her.
It was a personalized experience, and they really went above and beyond to make what we wanted to work.
At Genesis, unique rings are our specialty.
What's really awesome about Genesis, I think a lot of girls look at other girls' rings a lot, and you don't want the same ring as the girl sitting beside on an airplane or something. It's really awesome because Genesis has the designers I feel that women want.
Names like Henry Dossi, Viraggio, Tocori, and dozens more.
So you don't get that cookie cutter kind of chain store. My ring is beautiful, but it looks like everyone else's. You get an engagement ring that's one of a kind.
Genesis diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
I highly recommend Genesis.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
They're going to be our jewelers for life.
I'm Pablo Torre, host of ESPN Daily, where every morning we present the best sports story of the day. And ESPN Daily is presented by Supercuts. Supercuts is the perfect way to get a haircut if you're someone who doesn't have time for a haircut. You just check in on the Supercuts app or you walk in for a quality cut. The highly trained stylists at Supercuts can always give you that fresh cut feeling fast. And it's not just any haircut, it's Supercuts. Check in now on the Supercuts app or on supercuts.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. Right now, you can do the complete job and get a great deal when you buy a set of Duralast brake pads and rotors. It's also AutoZone's national hiring event. We're hiring all positions, from sales to warehouse and drivers, both part-time and full-time. Visit careers.autozone.com or any one of our stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. Right now, you can do the complete job and get a great deal when you buy a set of Duralast brake pads and rotors. It's also AutoZone's national hiring event. We're hiring all positions, from sales to warehouse and drivers, both part-time and full-time. Visit careers.autozone.com or any one of our stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, hour number 2 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Talking Predators, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We are taking your thoughts on Pekka Rinne, obviously with the jersey retirement ceremony coming up tonight. Your favorite Pekka Rinne memory. Hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Also discussing Philip Forsberg. A report last night from Andy Strickland that the Predators he said that he was hearing the Predators are, quote, actively shopping Philip Forsberg. Now, as I said earlier on the show, I can tell you that according to a source of mine, I have been told that Forsberg has not told the Predators that he doesn't want to stay as a Predator. Now, again, I need to clarify. That does not mean that he's going to sign here. That does not mean that he's not going to be traded at some point. I have just been told that Philip Forsberg has never told the Predators that he does not want to stay as a Predator. So I think that's important because, to me, I saw this report last night, Joe, if they're actively shopping him, my initial reaction to that was, okay, does that mean that he's told them that he wants out, or are they just so far apart on contract negotiations that either pressure is trying to be applied or the Predators have just said, you know what, this is not going to happen. We're going to have to find a way to get what we can for him. So again, I'm not saying that Forsberg is going to sign here or anything. I've just been told that he has not told the Predators that he does not want to remain here, which I think is very important to put out there.
Yes, very important, because that's I mean, had he done that, were you do that, then Poyle has to act like this. It has to react like this, and shop him around and see what he can do, see what he can get. So it seems that the far apart, in whatever way they're far apart, scenario is the most likely right now.
Let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Adam from Portland, who wants to weigh in. Adam, thanks for calling in to Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah, so my favorite Pekka moment was that 2017 Blackhawks series, and I remember heading into those playoffs, his position with the team changed tremendously during that series and that playoff run, because I know he was on hot water. How long will they keep him in there if the Blackhawks start killing him? If you'll remember, he didn't give up a goal the first two games on the road in that series against a 1 seed. So my favorite goal was during that series, or goal that he stopped. He was way far out of the net, 10 yards away, and it was a funky bounce. The puck ends up hit. Do y'all remember this? The puck ends up hitting like center of the ice. It's heading straight like a beeline rocket heading towards the net, and he lunges out off 6'6" and a stick and gets a tip of the stick on the puck and redirects like at the very end. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. So, and just, that's professional. He's just a great person, man, right? Everybody, I don't think he's ever made an enemy in his life. So having him here, he's, no Finn has ever done it better. So happy for him tonight for sure.
Hey, thanks for the call, Adam. We appreciate it. Yeah, that happened a few times where Pekka is going to, we always talk about it. He's so good at playing the puck behind the net. Sometimes that puck takes a hop on you and you got to be able to react quickly. And that was certainly a good example of that. I remember that one very well.
Yeah. I think it was game 3.
I think
so.
Yep.
Yeah, it was game 3. Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. Those first 2 games in Chicago, I don't think there's a song. Well, I mean, this is a bold statement, but there aren't many songs I hate more than Chelsea Dagger, right? I mean, it's actually a great song to play when you score a goal, because it's such an awful song that it's just going to bother your opponents even more. I was bracing myself to have to hear that song, a few times over 2 games in Chicago. Not one time, not a single time.
Let's go back to our 1025 The Game phone line. Carrie in Nashville wants to weigh in. Carrie, thanks for calling in to Robby and Rexrode.
Well, that guy stole my thunder. Imagine that. But I think that was in actually game 1, and it caught Pekka completely off guard, and it hit that stanchion on the glass, and for him to even get back and save that puck was probably one of the most amazing plays I've ever seen him do, except the butt of the stick save.
Oh, yeah. That was a great one. Thank you, Kerry. We appreciate the call. The butt of the stick save in the Winnipeg series where he's falling down and he just plants the stick on the ice and it hits the handle, the knob. That was some good stuff.
Yes. The knob save, the butt save, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That was game. It was definitely not game 1. Games 1 and 2 were in Chicago. That was definitely in this building.
3.
Yeah.
But it was game 1 in the building. It was game 1 at Bridgestone. Does that count?
Yes, game 1 of way more games in this building in that playoff run than anybody would have guessed would have happened.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on Pekka Rinne all show long on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So with the Forsberg report that's out there, Joe, do you feel like the Predators are at a little bit of a crossroads here? Because if let's say they go down this road and they're not able to come to a deal with Forsberg and they feel like they've just got to trade him at the trade deadline and get what they can for him. I think you understand the thought process behind that if you're the Predators. My question for you is, what does that do to this team this year? And what does that do to the way maybe you impact the core and the trajectory of the team as they move forward here? Obviously, not knowing what the return it would exactly be for Forsberg at this point in time.
Well, I mean, this team this year, it's tough for me to see this team have enough offense to threaten anyone in a playoff series. I mean, certainly depending on where they are, like if they were roughly where they are now and you traded him and now you basically have like 5 weeks left, Are you holding on to a playoff spot? I think possibly. And certainly you could, but I guess that team would be limping in and not be all that dangerous in the playoffs. So you are in the short term absolutely getting worse, obviously. And hey, I'm open to hearing what kinds of things you could get for Philip Forsberg. I mean, who out there is there a team that comes to mind for you that would especially feel like he as a rental could put them over the top? What of the top contenders, who could most benefit from a Philip Forsberg?
Well, the team that came to mind to me immediately was the Rangers. And I think it makes sense from their standpoint. I think it really makes sense if you're going to go that route. I think it makes sense for the Predators standpoint too, is because their pipeline is pretty darn good. So if you're talking prospects in return, the Rangers could be there. Boston. I think Boston could use a guy like Forsberg. The problem is they
love former Preds.
They love former Preds. There's no question about that. Like, that's the other thing. Like, you're in a playoff spot right now. If you're the Predators, if you feel like you have to trade him, are you trading him to a Western Conference team? Like, are you limiting your trade market that way? I don't know. Like, are you trading him to, I'm not saying this would happen, but hypothetically, like Edmonton right now is 3 points behind you. Let's say for whatever reason, they want to make a big push for Philip Forsberg and they offer you whatever that you feel like is really good. Like, are you trading Forsberg to Edmonton when they're right behind you in the playoff race?
Well, if they have easily the best offer, 100% yes. If what they're offering is what you believe is going to help you retool and over time be better for it, and no one else is offering the same level as then I think you have to. I don't think you limit yourself like that. You'd much prefer not to have him in your division and have to see him all the time. But I think you gotta have an open mind. And even if it costs you and all of a sudden they take off and they take your playoff spot, you're trading him because you are now thinking long-term over short-term. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You may be forced into doing that, but that's what you're doing.
Kyle on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says LA has a bunch of good prospects and an old friend as well.
That's
Maybe
right.
A Forsberg Arvidsson reunion in LA.
There you go. Thought he might tweet a thumbs up to that.
Well, maybe so. We'll continue to take your thoughts on Philip Forsberg on our text line. Got more to get to coming up on the other side. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Every Friday at 8:30 on Robby and Rexrode, we talk with the legend Terry Chris about all things Nashville Predators, presented by Copper Branch on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Gary Ashton here. I love hearing people say, don't sell without the Intel, because it means they're really embracing our message. Now's a great time to sell your home in Nashville, but you need the Intel only the Gary Ashton team can provide. Intel that helps you sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel to win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Let everyone else get the same information and compete for the same properties, while you get the Intel edge with the Gary Ashton team, the official real estate team for your Tennessee Titans. And if you're looking for a great career, join our team. We added 65 new agents last year, and we want you to join us this year. Remember, don't sell without the Intel. And if you're looking for a great career, the Gary Ashton team wants you in 2022. Call 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com today.
Golfers, tee it up this year at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Callaway. Featuring the new Rogue ST drivers, Callaway's most stable driver ever, with tungsten speed cartridge, jailbreak speed frame, and AI flash face. Engineered for max speed and forgiveness. 4 different models to fit every golfer's needs. Think speed? Go Rogue. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit for the new Rogue ST drivers today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
When a nasty cold keeps you up all night,
Vicks NyQuil Severe gives you powerful relief from your worst cold and flu symptoms, which changes a night that sounds like this into a night that sounds more like this. Ah, that's better. NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, sore throat, stuffy head, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold, medicine. Use as directed.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the world is throwing everything it has at you, and to succeed, you need someone to guide you through. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice to help you navigate whatever challenges you're up against and get you safely to where you want to be. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. Right now, you can do the complete job and get a great deal when you buy a set of Duralast brake pads and rotors. It's also AutoZone's national hiring event. We're hiring all positions, from sales to warehouse and drivers, both part-time and full-time. Visit careers.autozone.com or any one of our stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Tune in later this morning at 8:45 for your chance to participate in Fred's Pick to Click and win a pair of tickets to a future Preds home game brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka. We'll have that opportunity coming up for you a little bit later at 8:45. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Our text line is about to blow up because of that. That's for sure.
Man, Michelle trolling everybody.
Joe, you know when you say
I prefer the Fleetwood Mac that you're on.
You know when you say you hate a song, you know I have to play it. Last segment, you're like, oh,
Fair.
this song is the worst. So
Do
naturally,
you not agree, though? Do you not agree?
I mean, I didn't realize it was the Blackhawks. What'd you say? It's their song whenever they score something at home.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being a hockey player. The other team scores, and then you got to hear da 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 da. I mean,
listen, I would hate it. I would hate it too.
Grating on the nerves.
Believe me, that would grind my gears. But if I'm just a normal person, I feel like it would get me a little hyped, a little excited. But I understand if you're covering a game and you're there and you hear it a lot. But
I will say
I don't know, man.
I've talked to many of the opposing player around the NHL that cannot stand the Tim McGraw song, which I think it's kind of what you're going for.
Oh, sure. Yes.
If you're a team.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, if you're in this building tonight, Dallas gets scored on. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Of course you hate that. It's ripping at your soul when you hear those words.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Scott in Hopkinsville texting. By the way, we're going to be joined by Preds assistant coach Dan Hinote coming up at 7:30. So looking forward to that conversation. Going back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Scott in Hopkinsville texting in. Good morning, guys and Michelle. Could this potentially be leaked by Forsberg's agent? Would there be any benefit from him doing this? This coming from Scott in Hopkinsville. I've heard that thrown out there. I guess if it's true that they're shopping him around, it could be coming from Forsberg's agent. But again, if they're still working on a deal, I don't know why they would be actively shopping Philip Forsberg at this point. To be, again, and maybe I'm just reading way too much into the term actively shopping, but to me, that's a big deal. Like actively shopping to me is like, all right, we're getting ready to trade him. Let's see what you got. Let's see what your best offers are. And also like I've heard like, there's this on Twitter last night too. Like could Forsberg's representative be making this up and getting this narrative out there? Really not a good practice as an agent to lie to the public. Really, not a great way to go about doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, from a reporting aspect, if you're the reporter on this, and it's the agent of the player involved in the negotiations, like, where's he getting his information from? Because otherwise, right. it's like then that's immediately what you're going to think. Are you just trying to put this out there? I mean, to me, actively shopping means some team had a conversation that made them think the Preds are actively shopping him. And that's not a conversation that Forsberg's agent should be privy to. So anything's possible. You know, this is the problem with anonymous sources, but that just doesn't really make sense to me.
There's a lot of people coming after Michelle on the text line about playing.
Yes,
Chelsea
they are mad at you, Michelle.
Wait, really? Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, no more DJ duties for Michelle, says Brandy. Kyle just said Michelle just committed a hate crime against Preds fans. # boycott Michelle.
Okay, in my defense, I didn't actually know it was a Blackhawks thing. I just thought Joe hated it.
I just said that.
Okay. Maybe I did. No. Preds fans, don't worry. Listen, don't worry. We are going off track of Fleetwood Mac a little bit next break, but I promise you will like it, and then we'll bring it back around town to Fleetwood Mac. Okay?
Greg texting in says, Michelle, by playing Chelsea Dagger, you have forfeited your right to have Joe wash your car. This is coming from Greg on the text line.
Greg, you can wash my car if you want.
Yeah.
Someone's got to do it.
It's got to be done. Steven texting in says, do you think Forsberg could see how Pekka is being honored and be more likely to make a deal in hopes of a similar storybook end to his career? He could follow the Weber path and still be loved in Nashville, but it's hard to beat the Pekka Rinne story. This is coming from Steven in Nashville.
Do
I think that in a perfect world, players, especially if they like the situation, would like to play for one team their whole career? Yeah, probably. I think there are probably things on Forsberg's checklist that are way more important than that. Number one, where can you win? Do you feel like you can win a championship here? What's the money look like? What's the length of the deal look like? Like, to me, all of those things are more important than that aspect of it.
Yeah, look, you got a short window here as a professional athlete to make as much money as you can make, set up your kids and your grandkids. And, I don't know how you could blame anyone for thinking about that first. I do think that there's appeal to that, certainly. And I think going back to earlier discussion about guys who have signed what I have thought a few of them are quite team-friendly deals here. I think part of that is liking the organization, liking the city, liking each other. And certainly, like, Roman Yossi's going to watch this tonight and probably at some point in his mind be like, that's going to be me someday, because it probably will be. Philip Forsberg is a guy who, if he signs a long-term deal with the Preds, number 9 could be hanging up there someday too. But yeah, that's not top of list, and I wouldn't expect it to be for anyone.
I got a texter that says, send Forsberg to Calgary for Johnny Hockey. Send Forsberg to Calgary for Johnny Hockey. Well, the problem with that is, you'd be in the same situation you're in right now. Like Johnny Gaudreau, his contract's up. So, like, you're not swapping rental player for rental player with Philip Forsberg. It's just not happening.
Yeah. I understand all the comments on, like, hey, do this comparable player, but that's just not what this is going to be. It's going to be prospects and picks.
Yeah, and you're building for the future if you're trading him. And we got a whole lot of people saying the Forsberg being shot tweet was from a Blues reporter. Again, I understand it was from a Blues reporter. Andy Strickland's been doing this for a long time. And, I'm not saying that he's been right on everything he's ever said. I will say he has reported things that his credibility is fine. He has good credibility. So, again, I'm not saying that Forsberg is going to be traded. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that if you're just totally dismissing this out of hand because it's from a, quote, Blues reporter, I would advise against that.
Yeah, there's a track record here. There's credibility here that it goes beyond. It's not like he's just for the first time ever stepping outside of the Blues universe and talking about something else. So you gotta look at the track record.
Paul on the text line says, I think it's BS. It was broken by a Blues ringside reporter, and then a Preds guy commented on it to say it would be huge news to Forsberg's camp because they had just started negotiating. First off, I don't think they've just started negotiating. Like, this has been a process of, I think, at least a little while here where the Predators and Philip Forsberg's agency have been talking. So I don't think they just started like yesterday talking about a contract.
Well, what's that reference to? Am I missing something?
I don't know what that's a reference to.
Okay. Let us know. I mean, look, there's going to be, like, trust me, there's going to be more on this today. That you can be assured. And also the Preds as an organization are going to be very annoyed. Of that you can also be assured too, because this is Pekka Rinne Day, but that's how things go in pro sports.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't necessarily want to be sitting here talking about Forsberg all day long on Pekka Rinne Day, but when there's a report out there that somebody is being actively shopped, like, we got to talk about it. Like, that's a pretty big deal to the future of this franchise. Like, it really is. Like, think about, like, if they make that decision and Forsberg gets traded, you're talking about a completely different direction for the franchise. I mean, we've talked about how this team has exceeded expectations and how maybe the window to win is bigger than we thought or shorter than we thought. The rebuild or competitive transition or whatever you want to call it, maybe it's not a full rebuild. If you lose Forsberg, I think a lot of that changes. So it's a pretty big deal when it comes to Philip Forsberg. We'll continue the conversation on the Predators, taking more of your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. When we come back, we'll be joined by Preds assistant coach Dan Hinote. We'll get to that conversation coming up on the other side. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. The Goblet has dropped. Download it. Must be 21 and up.
At Cordell & Cordell, we focus on representing men in domestic relations cases.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
We recognize that our clients are going through perhaps the toughest time they will ever go through. We understand that everything that's important to them is on the table. Their assets, the role in their children's lives. That's an immense responsibility that our clients entrust us with, and we take that very seriously. We've been trained to do that. We've helped thousands of clients before. And it's our hope that you'll choose to entrust us with what's most important to you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nashville area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 615-457-8700. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Offices in Nashville, Franklin, Murfreesboro, and Gallatin. Cordell & Cordell, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I'm excited to tell you about the folks at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring is just around the corner, and if your AC or heating unit is old and inefficient, then you need to take advantage of the Spring Hill Early Spring Special in the month of February. Save up to $1,000 for Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Get a York unit with a 10-year parts and labor warranty with up to 60 months no-interest financing on all York units. Restrictions do apply. Schedule now at springhillac.com. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York-certified comfort expert company.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like you're going 100 miles an hour, barely keeping up. But to cruise through challenges, you need someone who's right there with you. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice you need to get past whatever's in front of you and get where you want to go. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
O'Reilly. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get up to a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries. With the power, performance, and reliability your vehicle demands, Superstart batteries are designed for lasting performance and consistent starts. Turn the key with confidence. Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired a nature show host.
In the native habitat of a suburban driveway, the poor victim of a broken windshield is left assessing his vehicle, utterly helpless.
Well, not true. If he's got Geico, he can file a claim online, over the phone, or with his handy mobile app.
But like a lone gazelle, he'll suddenly be left to fend for himself, awaiting his terrible fate.
Nope. Geico will assign him a designated claims team to help him out, too.
So the gazelle gets his car fixed and everything. Wow, nature is so cool.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knesvik here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. A big night tonight coming up at Bridgestone Arena. And to help us talk more about it, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Preds assistant coach Dan Hino. Dan, what's going on? How we doing?
Oh, good morning, guys. Just getting ready for the big game tonight. How are you guys?
We are great. Appreciate you taking time to join us. So, Dan, what do you think the atmosphere is going to be like tonight? Obviously, you've been around Pecorine. You know how important he is to this city and to this franchise. What's tonight going to be like for you and your team, do you think?
Well, you know what? There's just so much history and nostalgia, with anything Pekka. And, add on top of that, any home game in Nashville. And then add on top of that, our rivalry with Dallas. So, I mean, you got a lot of things that lead to somewhat of a jungle atmosphere here in the rink tonight.
Dan, how important, look, every game's important. Playing against a good team on the road is important, but you guys have lost 4 in a row. You knew as a coaching staff that this week is just going to be unlike any other week this season. I mean, it's just how it is. So much around the hockey, apart from the hockey. So how important in your mind was it to have that victory, to come back, win in the toughest building to win in this league the other night, to end the losing streak and kind of be back on the positive going into all this stuff?
Oh, it was massive, and we knew it, but the way our schedule is shaped up, you could play a great game against these teams we've been playing and still lose. They're that upper echelon of the league is both teams playing their best hockey. It's going to be a 50-50 outcome. So, we knew that going into February, and you miss a bounce here and there, all of a sudden you lose 4 in a row. And so that game against Florida was, A, we want to get back on track, but B, this week is a circus, right? You got so many distractions away from the game that you want to have your game in order before these games come about, because there's just so much going on that you have to rely on your systematic play, and you hope that the distractions don't become bigger than the game itself. So that game against Florida became huge for us, especially the way we did it, as far as building the archives of guys, we can come back in any situation and any barn against any team. And, when you have comeback wins like that those become important come playoffs when you're down by 2 in the second and you're like, guys, remember when? And so it was huge on a lot of fronts.
Well, Dan, to that point, I mean, this, obviously, being a player in the league, like, you say every game's important, and they are, and 2 points count the same in every game. But sometimes it feels like from our standpoint, some wins are bigger than others. Like, could the way that your team won that game, could that be something that maybe propels you forward here when it comes to the rest of this week, and then just an absolutely brutal schedule from just a physical back-to-back standpoint coming up in March and April? Yeah, and that's like you said, you have to gain whatever it is you gain from each win, and so when you win like that, and our game has been trending in a good direction. Like I said, we weren't getting the results for whatever reason, but the metrics that we follow have been in the positive, and Coach talks about all the time about regardless of the outcome, we have to solidify a certain game that allows us to win night in and night out without having to worry about our structure. And then it comes down to bounces, and if you hit a post and it goes in and hit a post and it goes out, those things happen. But our game has been trending in the right direction as far as
as what we want and what we follow metrically. So it was great that it's been going that way, because you can tell them till you're blue in the face, guys, we're playing the right way. But until you get the win, it is what it is. So the game had been trending that way, and then we get the win. So it's perfect going into tonight's game.
Yeah, and John Hines mentioned to us last week, Dan, that that it was very possible for David Riddick to get one of the two games on that quick road trip, with the idea in mind that even though there's plenty of space here right now in between games, so UC Saros is getting the physical rest, maybe that with what's ahead this week for him, but also what's ahead next month, that a break might be beneficial. And obviously it worked out great for you guys. What was the discussion around that, and how helpful do you think that could be to Saros now as he gets back between the pipes?
Yeah, it's huge. He'd been, at this point, I think, played the most games out of any NHL goalie, or at least tied for. So, he's been carrying the mail, and Ritzy's been working his butt off in practice every day, and the guys love him. So you pull for him in that regard, and the guys love playing in front of him. So, you need Juice to be rested going into these last 2 months, and also you want to give Ritzy a game because he earned it with his work ethic and his demeanor around the rink and so on. So Florida ended up being the perfect game for both.
Preds assistant coach Dan Highnote on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And Dan, you mentioned it, obviously some important games this week, and it's a huge game by itself tonight against Dallas. But there is a lot of distractions this week with Pekka Rinne and the Stadium Series game and people's families coming into town. From a coaching standpoint, how do you try to navigate those waters? How do you go about approaching that with your team?
You make it known that in this situation, again, the game, at the end of the day, the game is the most important part. But you also have to, do all the bells and whistles of, Pekka and what he's provided this organization in this city and his teammates that are still here. There's no measuring stick on that value. So you have to give it its due, and everyone's excited, including the coaching staff, to see Pekka, because he's an unreal human being. So, so it's kind of said, but it doesn't need to be said all that much that, guys, at the end of the day, this is a 4-point game against a rival, but if you can use Pekka as a springboard into momentum, and you're going to have a sellout crowd, you're going to want to play for this guy that stopped pucks for you for however many years, and get your teammates back because it's his night. So that's kind of the key. It's like, well, it is a distraction, but it also can be used as momentum. And you get the crowd, you get Pekka in the building. Like guys have taken bullets for that guy for years. So tonight will be no different.
We talking about a Newt Rockne speech from Pekka before the game there, Dan? And apart from that, do you have anything you can tell us about this program tonight? Because I'm very interested to see it. It sounds like it's going to be quite a show.
Yeah, I don't. I just know all the alumni or the alumni that are in town, and obviously you see all the bells and whistles around the rink. As far, I'm a little out of the loop when it comes to the program itself, but aside from Pekka being around the boys this morning and last night, and obviously tonight as well, and the effect I know that'll have. But I don't. He doesn't really. He never needed the Newt Rockne speech. It was more about his presence and his smile and his calm demeanor of, hey guys, everything's going to be okay because I'm in the pipes. That was more his style. But he certainly has the intelligence and the wherewithal to put one together. It just was never needed, I don't think.
Dan, you mentioned the game against your rival tonight. Obviously, you guys are very familiar with what the Stars and what they bring to the table. The standings are what they are. This is a really important game tonight. What do you expect in this matchup against the Stars? And I guess, how do you prepare your team for what is going to be a pretty physical game tonight?
Well, we have so much history with these guys. There's not a lot of preparation you have to make them aware of, other than, they know that this team flies. They're really good in the ozone. They're one of the fastest teams in the game. Our games against them are always physical, and there's always a war. So obviously owning zone one will be the most important thing, and then, not giving them free chances with our structural game, because they'll take advantage of any turnovers just inside the blue, any poor decision making with the puck can lead to an odd man rush the other way with a team as fast as Dallas. So protecting the puck, with our puck decisions, and then getting over the puck in the O-zone kind of stifles their rush game. And the more you can do that, the better chance you'll have to win.
Do you feel, Dan, like the balance is there a little bit better in terms of playing the game you guys want to play, but then also just trying to not go in the box quite as often?
Yeah, I mean, the guys have made a concerted effort with their sticks. You're still going to take penalties, throughout the game. The way we play is just going to happen. But the guys have done a good job, being aware of it. And that's really the growth that you need is it needs to become a factor in your mind first. And then it's got to be actionable. So, we've seen tons of scenarios in the last few games where the guys may have put a stick in there earlier and now they're not. So there's growth there, which is great because, the power plays we've been facing are extremely dangerous, and Dallas is no different. So it's like you said, it's a balance of trying to find that physical game or that war mentality without taking all the penalties. And I think we've done a good job of that lately.
Reds assistant coach Dan Highnote has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Dan, really appreciate you taking time to join us. Good luck and have fun this week. Going to be a pretty awesome week here in Nashville.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Absolutely. You as well. Dan Highnote, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. It is interesting. It was interesting to hear him kind of say that. Like, yeah, you could view it as a distraction tonight. You could also use it. And we've talked about that this week too. I would expect the Predators tonight to have a lot of energy coming out of the gate. And then it's what you talked about. Like, you've got to find a way to have the proper balance of using the energy and making sure that you're not sending people into the third row and taking a trip to the penalty box.
Yeah, like early on, that's where because I'm sure you're going to be jacked up to play this team given the situation, given the rivalry, but coming off the hour preceding the game, I got to think that emotions will be even a little bit higher than normal. Good can be used, can be positive, but also could be harmful if you go too far.
Coming up next, it is time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your submissions on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Another wet start for us this morning. Watch out for ponding on the roadways and localized flash flooding. More rain this afternoon and evening.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller extended their lower 2021 pricing through January to help customers tackle necessary replacements, and there was so much demand that they are now extending this special for 1 more month. It will be the lowest pricing expected all year. Thanks to the inventory shortages and empty shelves, there are serious shortages on equipment and products for your home. HVAC systems, tankless water heaters, and generators are extremely limited. So if you need a replacement, call my friends at Hiller today. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy OB or Services Free Guarantee, and you can learn more at happyhiller.com.
Professional quilt maker Dana Balliard once said, "There are no rules in quilting, and if you think that there are, then it's time you try breaking a few." Now, I like that type of creative entrepreneurial spirit, and that's why I do my adult beverage trading at Red Spirits and Wine. It's not just a great selection of distilled spirits, single-barrel Red Select whiskeys, great wines from around the world, and awesome craft beers, but it's more the way the folks at Red just go about their business. At Red, they keep it interesting and fun. The Cracker Jack crew makes you feel welcome after a hard day on the trail, never coming off like some of them snooty-nosed, big-talking whoop-de-doos. At Red, it's always square dealing with the best in service, selection, and prices. Plus, Red is locally owned by real folks, not some totally faceless corporation. There's no doubt in my mind, Red is my kind of place. Red Spirits and Wine, Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard. And check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and at redspirits.com.
Hey everybody, Robby Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's as the neighborhood bar and restaurant to catch the next Preds game. Jasper's is located on West End Avenue and offers a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, and a large bar and lounge area. Plus, they offer free parking. That's right, free parking on West End, and offer specials for every Preds game day, including $10 smash burgers and $3 bottle domestics. So come on down to Jasper's next game day for happy hour every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. and 2-for-1 beers all day on Sundays. Just tell them that Robby Stanley sent you.
Vivid Seats, your ticket to hold on to your hat, edge of seat sitting, bases loaded, 2 outs, half-court buzzer-beating, 60-yard Hail Marys. Hear that pin dropping? Can they do it? They did. For your team, it was nothing. Get tickets and earn rewards with Vivid Seats. Life happens live.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise in the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
So, what is Jared Stillman gonna say this afternoon?
You got to play if you want to earn $14.6 million next year.
Oh, brother, here we go.
But I'm done on investing money in dudes that can't get on the field.
Tune in to Stillman and Company, weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
This is some serious stuff right here.
Delivered by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Robby and Rexrode is on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week now on Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time of the week, time for the best and worst things in sports. As always, we'll take your submissions on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, would you like to kick us off this week with your best and worst things in the world of sports?
Yeah, I hope you guys have some light items because I'm going into world affairs and politics today. So,
good.
I'm sure that will be received well. But let's go ahead and go right into it then. What the heck? For my best, I'm actually with this today. I don't try to always do themes, but it seems like it works out this way. I'm talking about 2 women in journalism today. So my best in sports is our friend, Isabel Kershudian, former hockey reporter, did a great job covering the Washington Capitals. I got to know her way back in the day when she covered John Glennon's UVA Wahoos. Isabel, a few years ago, decided to get out of sports. She got an opportunity to work at I believe the Moscow bureau initially for the Washington Post. She speaks fluent Russian. And I'm just, I'm worried for her. I'm proud of her. She is doing really important reporting right on the front lines right now for the Washington Post on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Dangerous. It's important. It's why journalism matters. So just very proud of her. Shout out to Isabel, thinking of her, and follow her on Twitter. They had a really amazing in-depth report that I think has pinned to her profile, and she's giving real-time updates. I mean, she's right there in the middle of it. So that she's my best in sports as a former sports reporter, going on to more important things.
Nice.
My worst in sports, Michelle Tafoya. And I waited on this because I wanted to hear things out and I wanted to see full comments and not just, little snippets on Twitter. And so a week ago, I thought about doing it, but like, you know what? I don't want to just jump all over this. That's what everybody does. So let me say first and foremost, like when Tafoya announced and I don't know Michelle Tafoya, but when she announced she was leaving to do work in the Republican Party, didn't bat an eye, couldn't care less. Great. Republican Party, Democrat, Green, Libertarian, do whatever you want. That's fine. But the comments she's made on Colin Kaepernick have bothered me a lot. I think more than anything, the comment, that she said that, and this is a snippet, but it's what she said in proper context. It breaks my heart that kids are being taught skin color matters. And when I hear that, it makes me wonder if in all of those years as a sideline reporter, talking to more black men than anything, if she ever had a real conversation with anyone. Again, you can have different views, but it honestly breaks my heart that this is what she comes away with after all these years of covering the NFL. And, you know, the hotly debated critical race theory thing, not going to get into that here, but I will say I would love for her and for everyone to read a piece at MississippiToday.org about Brittany Murphy, an Ole Miss law student, former president of the Teenage Republicans of Mississippi, who took a class in critical race theory with much protest from her family and friends, and came away saying, oh, actually, there's a lot of value in this because we should really be learning about history. It's not about making white people feel bad. It's about actually learning about history and race theory, which is important in this world. We can't whitewash everything. And I'll get off my soapbox now.
Michelle Knesvik, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Can I just say for a second, you said Michelle for your worst in sports, and my head perked up so quick before you said her last name, and I was like, oh no, Joe, where are you going with this?
Michelle Knesvik playing Chelsea Dagger.
Is the worst thing in sports.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my worst thing in sports. Juwan Howard, the whole handshake line this week and the fight between Wisconsin and Michigan, just as a coach, you're supposed to be a leader for these young men, and it's never a good look getting physical on the court. And also, I mean, as far as his basketball team, they're looking to get a couple more wins so that they can get into the tournament. They're one of those teams that is not locked in for the NCAA tournament right now, and with him out for the rest of the regular season, and it's just not a good look. It's drama that is surrounding the team now, and who knows if they'll make the tournament. But above all else, just not a good example you want to set for these young men coming up in your program. Moving on to my best thing in sports, because you know I'm always a glass half full type of person, guys, and I get off the worst as quick as possible. So heading into my best thing in sports, it is Kentucky basketball related, but Oscar Tshiebwe obviously is one of the front runners for National Player of the Year, and I would tell you guys to go over to Kyle Tucker's article that he wrote on The Athletic, because this is where I got my best thing in sports from. Oscar Tshiebwe has actually not been able to earn NIL money since just this week, because he was having trouble with his student visa. On a student visa, you can't technically have a job, so they've been working really hard to figure out, how he can earn money. And obviously he's the front runner for the National Player of the Year, so there's a lot of money to be earned. But the article really goes into depth about where Oscar came from. He came from the Congo, and how he's actually, with this NIL money, is going to be able to bring his mom over to America, and she's never been able to see a college basketball game of his. So for him, it was so much more than just getting money or getting a flashy car or something. He's going to be able to get her out of the Congo, where she hasn't been living in great living situations, bring her over to America, and she's actually going to get to see him play a basketball game. So for everybody who thinks NIL is not good for players, some of this gets hidden in people getting flashy cars and amazing deals. But for him, it's actually, being able to get his mom out of somewhere probably unsafe and bringing her to America. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Go over to Kyle Tucker's Twitter to read the full article on The Athletic. It's pretty awesome.
Shout out, Kyle. Awesome story.
That was good job by Kyle Tucker on that story. My best thing in sports, I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit. It's Pekka Rinne getting his jersey retired tonight. Just the circumstance that goes around it. And I watched pretty much every game of his career. It was awesome to watch his time here in Nashville. I think it's going to be a wonderful night here in Nashville, even separate from the game. I think the Predators are going to play well tonight. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later. But just even separate from the game, the spectacle of it all, just kind of taking in the moment and recognizing Pekka Rinne tonight, I think is important. I think him being the first guy to get this done is awesome, and to being, retiring his jersey. I know people have talked about, like, all right, well, what about, David Legwand, or what about Philip Forsberg one day, or what about all these different people? I think one of the cool things about getting your jersey retired is it should be really exclusive company. And I think Pekka Rinne has earned every bit of it. I will add, as a sidebar to that, it's really cool to me to see Shea Weber here this week. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Obviously things didn't end great here with Shea Weber, with him getting traded for PK Subban. Shea basically was largely responsible with Pekka for dragging this team through kind of some rough times to get them to the point where they were competitive. And obviously his last game as a Predator did not go well. The Predators moved on. Obviously it was the right decision. They got to the Stanley Cup final the next year. So I'm not trying to go back down the rabbit hole of revisiting the trade. I think sometimes people overlook how important he was to this franchise. I would put him right there with Pekka in terms of his importance to the franchise during that time. Now, obviously, Pekka went on to become the best player in franchise history and had more staying power and more long-term. But at their peak together, they were equally important to me in terms of bringing this team to what we know them as today. So really cool to see Shea Weber here this week, and obviously a shame that we can't see him playing hockey this year. The worst thing in sports is my quarterback being a troll on the Pat McAfee show. Got my hopes up.
Robby.
Thought something was going to happen. Thought there was going to be a decision made one way or the other. And Aaron Rodgers got on there basically to talk about the cleanse that he's been on, which we've since come to know just a great amount of detail about. So Aaron Rodgers, I love me some Aaron Rodgers. Hope he's still the quarterback of Green Bay. But being a troll, a little bit ridiculous, a little bit much. Aaron Rodgers, my worst thing in sports this week.
Proud of you for taking it to Aaron Rodgers.
And we're all going to do the cleanse.
He deserves it.
And we're all going to do the cleanse. Summer's coming, guys.
Yeah, really got to get on that cleanse. Bring me the Panchakarma cleanse. Be great. Chris on the text line says, the best thing in sports was one of the Predators games last weekend, listening to the great Pete Weber when he called an elbowing penalty on the Preds and described it as, quote, the old Spanish airline elbowing. It made me laugh. And after that, I thought about it for a second. Pete is great. The amount of things that Pete Weber can do in a broadcast, like in the moment, without really even having to think about it, is really just incredible to me. And honestly, knowing Pete the way that I do, there are many things that he says in a broadcast that people just have no idea about, which makes it even funnier because I do know what he's talking about. And Pete Weber is the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
No doubt. Of course, he also sometimes will just make a reference to someone. Like, how a lot of times we'll make a reference like an 80s movie, look at Michelle.
Yeah.
Like
I'll
Pete,
never know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and Pete will make references like someone from the 60s, and I'm like, yeah, Pete. All right, I got you.
Yeah. Lots of Slapshot references in there, too.
Well, now those I'm all over.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to capture the spirit of the thing. Michelle, put that one on your list, too. Slapshot.
That's right.
See, you didn't even ask me if I'd seen it. You're just like, put it on the list because you're obviously right. You're obviously right.
I mean, 70s stuff, I'm just going to assume no.
Yeah, I was not even, alive at all.
I mean, I've watched Citizen Kane, and it came out 40 years before I was born. But yes, I hear you.
That is good stuff. I've watched Citizen Kane too. We watched that in my high school class one time.
There you go.
I can't say it was great, but it's all right.
Cool. Hey, real quick, Paul on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, says playing that song, which is what Michelle played before the High Note interview, does not absolve Michelle of her Blackhawks sin. So I just want you to know that. It was a good try, though.
Listen,
it was a good try.
In my defense, I thought it was, Joe, you cover the games and you're always there. I didn't know it was like a legit thing that everyone knows.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the Preds fans know. Well, they know well. Anybody who hates the Blackhawks knows that song well.
I'm sorry.
This has been the best and worst things in sports. We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. When we come back, we'll be joined by Steve Lehman from News Channel 5. We'll get his thoughts on all sorts of Middle Tennessee sports in the area. That's coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee! 3-ball, yes, sir!
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Preds Report.
presented by Newton Nissan.
Pecorine accomplished almost everything one could have asked of a goaltender who was drafted in a round that no longer exists. Pecorine finishing up with the Nashville Predators with a shutout over Carolina a year ago as the Predators wrapped up their regular season. Well, he was a four-time NHL All-Star, twice voted to the year-end All-Star team, and won the Vezina Trophy in 2018 as the league's top goaltender. He was also a huge piece of the team's run to the Stanley Cup Final in 2017. Predators advise all planning on attending the game be in your seats by 5:45 for the ceremony, which will begin tonight at 6 o'clock, all of which will be carried right here. This is Pete Weber reporting.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Victory Award-winning New Amsterdam Vodka knows all about it. But in life, it's not always so clear. So New Amsterdam Vodka believes that in life, you've got to find your own wins. You've got to overcome your fears, go all in, even when you've got nothing at all. Find your wins. And when you do, raise that glass of New Amsterdam Vodka in victory. You've earned it. New Amsterdam Spirits Company, Modesto, California.
Did you know that every diamond at Genesis Diamonds is over 1 billion years old? That's before dinosaurs, even before some of the stars in the sky. These elusive stones were originally formed miles beneath the Earth's surface, each one born in a volcanic explosion, yet kept hidden for generations. It's a fact that for every 1 carat diamond at Genesis Diamonds, trained miners blasted through over 200 tons of rock, and skilled experts sifted through the rubble to find the highly sought-after rough diamonds. Then expert cutters spend untold hours shaping and polishing each stone, unlocking its beauty and fire and brilliance. From the hands of the craftsman direct to you, these magical stones are your piece of eternity. Precious, rare, unique, indestructible, and treasured all over the world. Oh, and the unbeatable prices at Genesis Diamonds? They're just a bonus. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Uncompromising quality, unimaginable value.
Zines First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, Program Director at 102.5 The Game, and when our crew is out, we want to look our best. Thankfully, we have Authentically American taking care of all of our apparel. The way your team looks is everything. Enhance your company's image with the help of veteran-owned and operated Authentically American. For you parents out there, they'll take care of your kids' team apparel too. It's Authentically American, and yep, it's made in America. Check them out at authenticallyamerican.us. Mention The Game and they'll handle the setup and artwork free of charge. That's authenticallyamerican.us.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, hour number 3 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Steve Lehman from News Channel 5. Steve, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
Robby, Joe, good morning.
Appreciate you taking time to join us this morning, Steve. So we got a lot to get to with you here. I just want to start on the Pecorine front. What do you expect the environment at Bridgestone Arena to be like tonight? And as you think about your time covering Pecorine, what are some of the moments that stand out to you?
I imagine it's going to be very, very emotional in there tonight, Robby. I think the crowd is going to be largely the diehards that watched him over the course of 15 seasons here, and they're going to be very, very appreciative of what they saw, not just on the ice during that time, but from Pecorine, the humanitarian as well. And I know Joe was at the luncheon yesterday where both the Predators and Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital honored Pecorine, and it was a good reminder of just the type of person Pekka is beyond the player. I mean, he's the all-time winningest Finnish goalie. He's the 4-time All-Star goalie for the Predators. He won a Vezina Trophy. He's responsible, first and foremost, for the longest and deepest run in Predators playoff history, and so much that's gone on in this franchise to really put them on the map. But then you look at all the things within the community. There's work with Best Buddies and launching the 365 Pediatric Fund at Monroe Carroll along with Shea Weber, and you just realize that it's far bigger than just hockey when you talk about the love affair between Pekka Rinne and Nashville and Pekka Rinne. And I think that's going to be on full display here tonight. And just personally for me, I've had the pleasure of being back around Pekka a couple different times this week, including yesterday. And it's just been such a nice thing to be able to sit down and talk with him, because he was always so willing to do that with us and share his honest thoughts about either his game or whatever the topic of the day was. And we've gotten to do that this week, and it's been really neat, too, to see his young son Paulus around and Emily back and all of his family and friends from Finland that made the trip over, because it is such a special time. And as a player, you don't always get the chance to experience all that with them, especially when you're from Finland. And this week he gets the opportunity to share all of this with them, and that's really cool.
Yeah, no, well said, Steve. You know, I guess I'm going to sound like Mike Vrabel. I've said this before, but Vrabel talks about, culture's good when things are, when you're winning, but when you find out is when you're losing, right? That's when you actually test it. And I do, I will always think of, I think some of the times I've been most impressed covering various people would be in some of their worst moments. And I'll never forget how he handled the post game. And we were all there after Game 7 of the Winnipeg series in 2018, for example. There's no way that's easy to do, but that I think also spoke to what he is. And I'm with you. It's also, I think, probably just because it's been a couple of years now where we just haven't had all that many personal interactions with anyone, that this has been so cool this week, right? I mean, that's probably part of it. What do you think we'll see? Well, in terms of the program, I mean, I'm fascinated to see what the hour will be. But what do you think we'll see also in terms of the response from the team, and how important do you think it was that that they got the Florida win going into all this stuff?
Well, I think it was huge, Joe, because this week is absolutely massive. It is the biggest week in Predators hockey that I think you could make an argument, since perhaps even going back to that Winnipeg series, just because of the stage that the city is going to be on and that the team is going to be on this week, really in a standalone fashion. I mean, there's nothing else in hockey this week that matches either. And so it is an enormous opportunity for a team that hasn't played particularly well since the All-Star break. It needs to get back on the winning track. So the fact that they won, especially in come-from-behind fashion, down on 3 different occasions, had a goal wiped off the board that looked like it tied it on Tuesday night down in Florida, I think was absolutely massive for this team to give them some momentum going into the stretch. I think they're going to be maybe some of the most interested observers during the Pekka Rinne program tonight when it gets underway at 6 o'clock. And they're going to have to flip that switch quickly. And John Hines has said at multiple occasions this week already, look, you got to understand what the rhythm is this week. You have to understand the schedule and how everything's going to be laid out. And you can enjoy it, and you can take the juice from it and the crowd and the environment. But when the puck drops, you got to go play hockey, and you got to be ready to do the details that make you good as a team. I think the Preds handled the first part of this week, a road game against a very good team, well. Now we'll find out tonight and then again on Saturday how they handle the stage and spectacle of the rest.
Steve Lehman from News Channel 5 on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Steve, what is the most interesting part of this Titans offseason to you? What are you most intrigued by for this team this offseason?
I'm intrigued by a lot, Robby, but I guess when I looked at it, probably the biggest thing that I'm looking at is how they handle I'm going to start with the offensive line, because I think there's so much salary there, and I think it has been such a key and integral part of what this team has been for a long time, that what they decide to do there in terms of either trying to bring everybody back, or do they decide one of those contracts is not worth it anymore and they move on from somebody, and if so, who and what happens there? And I think we all know that right tackle is going to look different next year, whether that's a free agency move or whether that's another draft pick expended on that position. I think we're going to see something very different over there. So I think the way that plays out, just because that group has been such a core of what John Robinson and Mike Grable have done in their time here in Tennessee, is going to be really interesting to watch. But in some ways, I'm more fascinated about how they approach the defense, because last year it was such a priority, and they did great work in putting together a championship-caliber defense. But now my question is specifically with Harold Landry. You have a pass rush for the first time since I've covered the team in over a decade now that really strikes fear into the part of hosing coaches and quarterbacks, and it's all set. It's right there on the table for you, but that includes Harold Landry, and it's going to cost a lot to keep him. And I'm just curious if they're willing to pay that freight to keep that part of the defense intact, or whether they think they can somehow work around it. Because I look at some things on the offense last year when they were so good, and they went into the offseason, and what they did is they brought in Julio Jones, but they didn't solve the right tackle position. They let Johnny Smith walk because I think they believed, we can figure this out with the guys we have or with a free agency pickup and not spend the money, and we'll still be fine at tight end. And, and they did that at a few different places on the offense last year. And yes, injuries had a huge part to do with it, but the offense regressed. And I think that's a very interesting thing to look at the defense going into next year is, yes, it's going to be a ton of money to keep Harold Landry, but given where you've been and where you were with the pass rush, isn't it worth it to avoid potentially taking a step back in that area next year?
Yeah, and I would say yes for sure to that. But yeah, I think you laid it out well. Some interesting choices for sure. And we're actually going to get to hear from John Robinson next week in Indy. So Steve, okay, so let me complain about something that it's no one's fault and it's never going to get fixed. But this week on Tuesday night, you had the Vols, you had Vanderbilt, you had the Preds, all going at the same time. Nothing last night, and now tonight.
Yep.
I mean, and I will be streaming the Belmont at Murray State game, and I know you will be calling it. But man, I hate when things are at the same time.
I know.
That it's just, but again, like what are they going to do? It's going to happen at times. It's unfortunate because this game should be getting a lot of attention. This is a huge game and a great rivalry, and it means a lot to Belmont. First of all, what do you foresee for this game after Murray came in here and really handled Belmont on their home court? And if Belmont can get it done tonight, what do you think of their chances, like if they say win all the way to a title game loss to Murray, of getting an at-large bid?
All very good questions. Number one, my only sad thing about this week with everything going on is that I can't be at Pekka's announcement tonight and the retirement, just because it's been so fun to watch him throughout this week. So to not actually physically be there tonight is going to be hard. But I'm fired up for this game because I think it is maybe the best game in the country tonight. You've got two teams that have double-digit win streaks. I think you have two teams that have legitimate arguments for at-large consideration at this point from a conference that doesn't necessarily get that attention very often, if ever. And they're going to go after it. And from Belmont's perspective, a chance tonight to keep the OVC title hope alive in their final season in the conference. But it's going to take a much better effort than last time. As you mentioned, Murray State came into the Curve Event Center and handed Belmont its worst home loss in that building ever, 82-60, just over a month ago. They shot 51%. They knocked down 14 threes. Justice Hill hit 8 of them and went off for 36 points. He's a guy that averages 10 points a game and shoots below 35% from three. And so Belmont's going to have to do a much better job on that front. Plus, KJ Williams likely not to be in foul trouble tonight, so Murray State going to have their best player back in the lineup tonight as well. But I think Belmont's playing well. I think they've toughened up from that game, and I think they've also had to do it on the defensive end of the floor because, frankly, the Bruins have not been their typical selves on the offensive end of the floor during this 10-game winning streak. And so I think it's going to be a battle, probably a regression to the mean on both ends. Murray State can't possibly play as well as it did in the last game, and Belmont can't possibly play as poorly as it did in the last game. So I think you're going to see a much tighter game. I think you're going to see an incredible atmosphere. And in terms of what it would do if Belmont can win, obviously, one, it keeps them alive to win the regular season title if the right combination of things happen on Saturday. But more importantly is your point, Joe. I think if Belmont, a team that's top 50 in the net, can get a win on the road that would be a quad one victory like tonight, I think that will ensure, regardless of where TSU is in, all that stuff, as long as they win Saturday and then win that semifinal game next Friday up in Evansville, I think that ensures Belmont will be a top 50 final team in the net, no matter what happens in a championship game against Murray State. So if they can do that, win tonight on the road, win those two games, and get to the championship, I think they've got a really good argument, given the number of road wins, given the overall record, given the non-conference strength of schedule, the fact they got to the final down in Orlando in the ESPN Events Invitational. I think they've got a good argument if they can win tonight. But if they lose tonight, that's probably out the window.
Well, we're looking forward to it for sure. Going to be a busy night here in Nashville and in our Middle Tennessee sports area tonight. Steve, really appreciate you taking time to join us this morning, and we'll talk to you down the road.
You bet, guys. Enjoy this weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Steve Lehman from News Channel 5, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, also does a great job calling Belmont men's basketball as well. We'll come back. We'll react a little bit to what Steve had to say there, get more thoughts on Philip Forsberg and the Nashville Predators. All that coming up on the other side. Let me tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. The second half of the NBA season is here, and you can turn every Thursday into payday with NBA on TNT on FanDuel Sportsbook. And it doesn't matter if you win or lose. FanDuel is giving all customers $10 back every Thursday in site credit. Just bet a $10 or more same-game parlay on any NBA on TNT game. Same-game parlays let you combine the money line, the point spread, player props, and more all into one wager. The Warriors taking on the Trailblazers tonight. Give me Golden State on the money line. Give me Steph Curry over on points. But you take it any way you want to take it. It's the perfect way to turn a small bet into a big-time score. And win or lose, you're guaranteed to get $10 added to your account. So if you're new to FanDuel, just sign up with promo code ROB to make every moment more this NBA season. Once again, that promo code is ROB. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. A max bonus of $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Every Wednesday, it's me, Jared Stillman, against Joe Rexrode for Jared versus Joe. Brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Visit ParmanTractor.com, your Middle Tennessee link belt and Takauchi dealer.
It's Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year with Black Friday early access deals on Windows 11 PCs. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business.
President's Day is here, and that means huge savings at Electronic Express. You'll find great deals in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops, tablets, speakers, headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs, in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop the President's Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I want to talk to you about my friends at Creation CBD. You hear me talk about them every single day because they present Darren, Donick, and Chase, and we are proud to be associated with them and happy about it. And if you have aches and pains, on your body, whether it's from working out, being active, getting older, and you're looking for a solution, well, I've got it. Creation CBD. Creation means healing, and that says a lot. Creation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here in Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Creation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use, including your pets, and you've heard me tell this story. Our female German Shepherd has had seizures for over 3 years, and lots of them. No matter how many pills a day she was on, the vet visits, nothing changed. But since putting her on the pet tincture, everything has changed. The seizures have stopped, she's lost weight, and she's a dog again. Right now, Creation CBD has got a special offer for DDC listeners. Go to CreationCompany.com, get 25% off your order by using the code DDC25 at checkout. DDC25 at checkout for 25% off your Creation CBD products. It's Creation CBD, curated for life.
You coming to bed, hon?
Yep, honey, I'll be right there. Just got to turn out the light. Ow! 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 Ah! God!
Some things never change, like your kids always leaving tiny toys on the floor for you to step on. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
Sweetie, I think I left the downstairs light on.
Please don't make me go.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
CSX, a growing Fortune 500 logistics company, has immediate openings for freight train conductors. If you're looking for a rewarding career offering paid training at nearly $25 per hour, competitive benefits, and you share a passion for great service, apply today at csx.com/careers. That's csx.com/careers. CSX, committed to supporting military and veteran families and their communities. CSX is an equal opportunity employer.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe, we've discussed this pretty much all show long this morning. The report from Andy Strickland yesterday that the Predators are, quote, actively shopping Philip Forsberg. Actively shopping Philip Forsberg was the term that was used, and I talked about it. My initial reaction to that was, okay. Look, I trust Andy Strickland. I think he's a good reporter. He's broken stories before, so I have no problem with the report. My initial reaction was, it's almost a month away from the trade deadline. You're a little bit less than a month. David Poile has made it pretty clear on these airwaves that he wants to sign Philip Forsberg to a contract. Why would he be actively shopping him already when there's still 4 weeks left before the deadline? And in my response to that in my head was, okay, does that mean that Forsberg has told them that he is not going to sign, that he wants to go to market and test things out? Or are they just so far apart contract-wise right now that maybe the Predators are sitting there thinking to themselves, there's just not going to be a way that we can make this work? Those were my first two reactions to that report. Now, as I've said a couple of times on the show today, I have been told by a source to me that Philip Forsberg has not told the Predators that he doesn't want to stay as a Predator. Now, again, that does not mean that he's going to sign a contract here. That does not mean that he's not going to be traded at some point. I can just tell you that I've been told that Forsberg has not said to the Predators that he doesn't want to stay here. So that's all I can tell on that part. But to me, that's a pretty important distinction, because if that's the case and he's not said that, I really don't know why, if you're the Predators, you'd be shopping him around at this point, unless you're just convinced that it's not happening.
Yes, and it's very good information, good reporting, and it's important. It's a key piece of the puzzle here, because I certainly had the same thought. Like, okay, has Forsberg basically said, look, I want to take it to market. That's just what's going to happen. So the fact that that's a no, to me, just it kind of adds up with what Poile said on Darren Donick and Chase. That was last week, right? Was it the week before? Was it last? It was last.
It was last week. Yeah,
it was last week. These weeks can run together. What he said about, again, in fact, honestly, but before we get done with the show, I wouldn't mind if we have that handy, listening to that segment again from Poile on Darren Donick and Chase, because at the time I remember some of the reaction was like, "Ooh, things must be going well if he's talking about it." But I was like, it sounds to me like a GM who's, I don't know if annoyed is right, or a little bit concerned, or just feeling like he needs to maybe motivate the other side, give a little public nudge to the other side. That's what it kind of sounded like, felt like to me. And that would kind of add up with this report. Now, of course, where exactly does this report come from? We don't know, obviously. Is there credibility in the reporter? Yes. And I also think that today, as we advance into the day, there's probably going to be some more attempts, at least, to report around this, because obviously this is a huge story in the league.
Yeah, I mean, this is not just a Predators thing. This is, if Forsberg is available, he's going to be, if not the top guy, he's going to be near the top of the conversation in the league. And we just had somebody tweet at me in all caps, like, today is about Pekka. I understand that. When there's a report out there that maybe your best player is going to get traded, we got to talk about it. Sorry. I don't want to be talking about it today, but it is what it is. Like, we've got to be talking about it.
Yeah. And again, so that point is also part of this too, because I just have a hard time believing that David Poile wants this to be happening right now. Yeah. And if David Poile is leaking something to someone, and he, there aren't many like, I'm going to leak this to you, but I'm going to put a week embargo on it.
Yes,
you sit on that for a week and then you talk about it. So I'm sure this is quite an annoyance for David Poile. And he wants anything but that to be discussed today, this week. But this is what happens. And this is big news. If there's a change in the trajectory, because it looked, well, even with what he said on Darren Dong and Chase to me, I figured, okay, there's some gap between both sides, as you might expect. Yep. And they'll eventually figure it out. I mean, look, this makes me wonder if they're going to figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the closer you get to the deadline, the more my eyebrows kind of start to get raised of, is this going to happen at some point? Dennis on the text line says, define actively shopping. It might mean something different to Strickland than it does to someone else. And that's a great point by Dennis. And I think that's an interesting thing to bring up, because we had this discussion, and I had this discussion on Twitter last night too, of, all right, is it okay if you're David Poile to listen to offers and see what might be out there for Philip Forsberg in a trade? Yeah. I mean, I think, honestly, I think it's probably happened at this point. I'm sure somebody has called him about Philip Forsberg. I'm sure that, Poile didn't just immediately hang up the phone. So there's nothing wrong with a general manager, seeing what's out there for your player and seeing what the value is. To me, though, I hear the term actively shopping. That signals to me that it's more than just listing. Like, actively shopping to me seems like, okay, it's open season for Philip Forsberg. Give me your best shot and we're making a deal. Like, so I guess actively shopping is in the eye of the beholder. But to me, there's a difference between listening to offers and actively shopping. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's a pretty big difference to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, it's you're taking calls or you're making calls. And this sounds like making calls, but the wording is very important. And this is, again, where you got to rely on someone like Strickland to be responsible and understand how important those words are, and how, the semantics there. I mean, there's a big difference between the two things. So, I mean, I would assume that as a veteran reporter who has reported on other things in the league, that he's not just coming up with a phrase and slapping it on there. I would hope so.
I would hope so as well. I can tell you this, you got Predators fans in a stir last night. It's such a big week for your franchise. You got the retirement ceremony tonight, the Stadium Series coming up. And, I said, call your shot Friday last week. I said Forsberg signs a contract this week. I did not anticipate trade rumors for Forsberg this week.
Yeah, let's just throw this in the mix too. Let's just have a big Predators bouillabaisse of everything all at once.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Attention, men, have you been struggling with erectile dysfunction? Well, Hillside Medical Clinic has a breakthrough treatment for ED that does not require any pills, injections, or surgery. And right now, Andrew joins me from Hillside Medical Clinic to tell us all about it. Andrew, what's going on?
Hello there. That's right. This really is kind of sweeping the country. Men are sick of the pill when it comes to ED. They're sick of all the side effects. Well, finally, we have something that works. Hillside Medical uses a technology called wave therapy. A few 10-minute sessions, guys. It delivers pressure waves and opens up the blood vessels enough that we can get rid of the ED completely, and we've helped a lot of men and couples do exactly that.
So, Andrew, what kinds of studies have been done on this wave therapy technology?
Well, that is what is so great is I think the science is irrefutable. HillsideMedicalClinic.com, you can read 50 third-party studies. Everybody from universities to hospitals have studied this, shown it to be safe and effective. So much so that I think the pill will someday be a thing of the past.
And Andrew, I hear you have a special offer if our listeners call in right now.
We do. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction. Get rid of the pills. It only takes a few sessions. Call us now. The exam, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound with our doctor. That's free. And this gift that you'll love, it produces immediate results in the bedroom, worth hundreds of dollars. Call us now. It's totally free.
That's right, guys. You can put a stop to your erectile dysfunction by treating the root cause of the problem. Call Hillside Medical Clinic right now to qualify for that offer at 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your ED and regain your love life. Call Hillside Medical Clinic today at 615-576-5000.
Jump in the mind of an NHL veteran as Predators analyst Hal Gill joins Stillman Company Tuesday afternoons at 5:30.
Here they are in a pressure situation every night because they need 2 points.
And Robby and Rexrode Thursday mornings at 9:30.
Goaltending, I think it might be an issue at some point.
Presented by Duncan on Smashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. Automatically. Discover something brighter. Learn more at discover.com/match.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors. Rated #1 for reliability in the under 100 horsepower category, they're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $1,100. Now through February 28th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now, and they have same-day delivery. Use Social Furniture's financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time, they have designer sofas, solid wood bedroom furniture, leather sofas, and sectionals in stock now. Social Furniture's President's Day sale going on now through President's Day. Visit Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local. Shop social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
Attention veterans of Middle Tennessee. Little Guys Movers wants to put your hard-earned skills and leadership talent to work with your very own Little Guys Movers franchise. Be your own boss and build a team with standards as high as your own, and all while serving your community with the same hustle that you served your country. Use your existing 401k to invest in yourself. Financing options are available. Start a fulfilling, profitable new chapter of your life as a member of a team with 30-plus years of growth and good times at littleguysfranchise.com. That's littleguysfranchise.com.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
ESPN's Teron Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company. Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Matthias Ekholm. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Is your hope to try and have that done with Phillip, before the deadline, or is that what I'm reading into this?
Absolutely, that would be the goal for sure. I mean, we've made that clear to his representatives, and again, Phillip wants to play here, and we just have to keep talking and see where this takes us. And so, in previous weeks, I've said we've got a long time, and I clearly recognize now that we're getting closer to it. So I think that we need to, both sides need to, bear down and to if we want to make this happen, we both got to put our best foot forward eventually here.
That was Preds GM David Poile last week on Darren Donick and Chase discussing contract negotiations with Phillip Forsberg. We were reacting to a report last night from Andy Strickland that the Preds are, quote, actively shopping Phillip Forsberg. And Joe, I guess listening back to that, there's there's a thing that stands out to me there that we didn't really talk about at the time. And he does say, Philip wants to be here. So and then it's just a matter of, figuring out the term and the dollars there. But you heard it there in the clip. Poyle said Philip wants to be here. That's what if that's the case and he wants to be here, that's another thing that signals to me he has not just walked in there and said, hey guys, you know what? Really appreciate the good times here, but I'm out. I'm going to be going somewhere else this offseason. But hey, let's have fun until then. Let's keep playing.
Yeah. He also said bear down, which is the Chicago Bears slogan. So we got a big Chicago sports theme going today.
Hub Arkish going to be really excited today.
Oh, man. I assume Porth is too busy raising a child now to be yelling at Hub Arkish as often as he should, but he'll get back. He'll get back in the saddle. Now I will say on your point there, there's probably audio from a few years ago where he said Ryan really wants to be here, right? Speaking of Mr. Suter. I mean, I don't know, but could
probably. Look, honestly, I think, and I wasn't there in like obviously the room with Ryan Suter and David Poyle, so I don't know what Ryan Suter told David Poyle. I can tell you from covering that team back then, there was never a sense to me that Ryan Suter was going to stay here. I think Predators fans honestly really overblow that sometimes in terms of like him just deceiving the Predators the whole way. I'm not saying he didn't deceive them. I just think remembering being around there at the time, I never got the sense that Ryan Suter was going to stay. That's just me.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean that I perceive things the right way. I'm just saying there was never a time. I always thought back then of Weber and Rene and Suter, which we talked about yesterday. That was the big decision back then. Suter to me was always the one that was by far the most likely to leave.
Do you think that situation has any influence on what's happening right now from the Poyle perspective?
I think so. I think it does. I mean, I don't know how you could just ignore it. I think back to, the Jimmy Vesey situation of you're trying to bring in Jimmy Vesey. He was a guy the Predators drafted. He went through 4 years of college at Harvard. And when you do that, you've got the opportunity to be, a college free agent at that point and basically pick your destination. So I think it was, they made it pretty clear that Vesey wasn't going to sign with the Predators. And he said, all right, well, I'm going to trade you. And somehow he got I don't remember exactly what it was. I think it was like a 4th round pick out of that trade when he was going to leave anyway. So I think it impacted that. I'm sure it's something you think about if you're David Poyle. I just go back to this. Like if it comes to where you can't come to a deal with Philip Forsberg by the deadline and you trade him, what does that do for this group right now? How much do you care about that if you're David Poyle and the Predators? Like, is it, this is going to affect our team this year, but long-term, the vision is more important. We have to get something back for Philip Forsberg. I mean, if you ask different Preds fans, I think they'll give you different responses on that.
Yeah, look, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, I said, and it was when they were in a little bit better position. It might have been when they were, first in the West or right behind Colorado. But I said, well, if you have to look at Forsberg as a rental, then look at him as a rental, because this particular season has a chance to really be something. But, you go through down stretch and you're a little bit more closer to the, you're a little bit closer to the fringe of the playoffs than you are to the top of the conference. And I mean, just for me, I think of it a little bit differently. It really does rise and fall with the fortunes of this team, in my mind, to some extent. But at the same time, whether they're doing great or terrible, whatever, like if you're Poyle, you have to have a great sense for what the market is and what you could potentially get for him in a trade. So you have all options available to you.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And look, we've talked about this. If the Predators trade him and they make the decision that they're not going to reach a deal and they trade him, it's going to be hard for me to, fault David Poyle for that. Like, I would imagine the return for Forsberg is some combination of either a couple of picks and a prospect, or maybe a pick and a couple of prospects. Like, you're going to get a pretty good haul for Philip Forsberg coming back the other way. So I understand the idea if you're a Preds fan out there that says, well, if you're not certain he's going to sign, you have to move him and get what you can for him. What I keep going back to in this report is, what does actively shopping mean? Because if actively shopping means you're listening to calls, that's a much different conversation than what we're having right now. Like, I would honestly, like, if you're David Poile and you're not listening to calls, you're probably not doing your job, right?
Absolutely. And, another thing is, like, if this wasn't Preds-a-Palooza week that it is, I'd be more inclined to buy the possibility that Poile floated something. Yeah. Even though I don't think that's typically how he operates. It doesn't mean you never do something. And this is a major situation, and he's been burned before. It's just hard to buy this week. I mean, that to me, the week we're in makes me think that's less likely.
Kyle on the text line says, I say trade him regardless. He's going to cost too much at this age. We have too many big contracts right now. I don't believe we're a serious contender right now. So let's continue rebuilding the franchise. That's the thing, but they're not rebuilding the franchise.
Right. They're not in a rebuild right now. I mean, they moved Arvidsson, they moved Ellis, but this is not a full rebuild. And in fact, it could be not that at all. I mean, obviously, if they do end up signing him, then you are saying here, this era right here, it's adding maybe to it. And, there is some cap space coming, and trying to go forward with this group and see what they can do. And that's the whole thing. I mean, you say they're not a contender anyway, and I can buy that. But I can't sit here and say that, like, the Preds doing this team as constructed, as it has played a lot of this year, doing damage in the playoffs would completely shock me. Not with that goaltender. No, it wouldn't shock me either. Now, look, I mean, I think if you're looking at the situation in terms of, all right, well, Forsberg's not going to sign, so you go into a rebuild. That's fine. If he makes it clear that he's not going to sign, then the conversation is different. If your position is just trade him anyway because he's going to cost too much, I understand the cost part of it. But if you're just trading him anyway, you're then now going to go on a search where you're trying to find somebody that plays like Philip Forsberg. And we know how difficult has that been for this franchise. How many homegrown guys have you had that played like Philip Forsberg? The answer is zero. Never. Yeah. Now, I understand Philip Forsberg, he got traded when he was 18 years old. So it's technically, I guess you could make the argument he's homegrown because he's basically been here his entire professional career outside of the first part where he got drafted by Washington, but he never played for Washington. But even still, like, drafting and developing forwards, that has been an issue for the Predators. And they've drafted some good forwards. They've not drafted an elite forward. So if you're trading Forsberg away, you're trying to find a guy that eventually comes in and replaces him. And as we've seen, that can be very difficult to do. Exactly. This is not, because I've heard a lot of that. Trade him for picks. This team isn't very good, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I think some people don't get how good he is and how rare he is in this franchise. And that's what you have to keep that in mind too. It's very hard to find guys like that. And it has been very hard for this franchise, obviously, historically, traditionally outstanding at finding and developing defensemen. Been much more of a struggle with forwards. And I mean, it's just, when's the next Forsberg come along? If you move him, you may find that you have to, but then I think if you move him, then I think you're pivoting to a rebuild. Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30 plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. When we come back, it is time for Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka. The Preds taking on the Stars tonight. Be the first caller at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number one will have a chance to guess a goal scorer for the Predators tonight. If you get it right, you'll win a pair of tickets to a future Preds home game. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Hit-or-miss showers will continue throughout the day, especially this afternoon and evening. High temperature up to 52 degrees. Watch out for localized flooding.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics has been serving Wilson County for over 12 years to ensure safety of both their patients and staff. They are strictly adhering to CDC and OSHA guidelines. They're located where you live and work, just off South Hartman Drive in Lebanon, focusing on general orthopedics, sports medicine trauma, and arthroscopic of the hip, shoulder, foot, and ankle. When experience matters, trust the #1 orthopedic clinic in Wilson County. For more info or to book an appointment, visit tn.houston.com.
This is Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I grew up in Boston with the Dunks on almost every corner. Now I am wicked excited my favorite coffee moved with me to Nashville. The newest location is at 500 Cool Springs Boulevard. Dunks has special items for you to share with your special someone. Try the brownie batter. Of course, Dunks has all your favorites as well. Breakfast sandwiches, pastries, donuts, and as always, my favorite coffee. Go brighten up your day. Go get your Dunks.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe here to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Dr. Rice, listen, we all have cavities, but what's the best way to try and keep them from happening?
Cavities are like any other health condition. You don't really know you have one until it gets bad. Recently, I saw a patient for treatment that they had been putting off. Something that could have been simple to fix 6 months ago turned out to need a root canal and a crown. Postponing treatment costs more and takes time away from work.
Nobody wants a root canal, so you're right. Regular checkups are very important.
Well, we do things differently. I want to let people know that if they're afraid of pain or worried about the cost, they are not alone. Don't be embarrassed. We understand. Give us a call at 615-373-4488. That's kellyerice.com.
Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. If you don't have dental insurance, no problem. Be sure to join their membership club. Just visit kellyerice.com or call 615-373-4488 now to schedule your cleaning and checkup. You'll certainly be glad you did.
The minute you step behind the wheel of an all-new Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, you'll know it was made to make a statement, because it's a beast. Equipped with a 437-horsepower I-Force Max hybrid engine made for making power moves. Plus, available cockpit red interior with a technical camo pattern made to deliver a red carpet-like experience. Not to mention an in-grille LED light bar made to make you stand out from the crowd. The all-new Tundra TRD Pro, made to make a statement. Toyota, let's go places.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like you're going 100 miles an hour, barely keeping up. But to cruise through challenges, you need someone who's right there with you. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice you need to get past whatever's in front of you and get where you want to go. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
A show that doesn't pull any punches.
And they win a playoff game and they get to the divisional round and he doesn't give up a sack the rest of the year. I don't give two poops. I'm done.
And has an opinion on everything.
That ref crew that was just terrible. Threw flags on almost every possession.
Jared Stillman hosts Stillman and Company.
Tough guy. He's a really tough guy.
Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6. Delivered by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Curve on front and the score!
Who's going to find the back of the net in tonight's Preds game? Robby and Rexrode make their picks to click and welcome a listener to do the same. Pick to Click is brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, the official vodka of the NHL.
And it is that time of the day, time for Preds Pick to Click here on Robby and Rexrode, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka. The Preds in action tonight, taking on the Dallas Stars. And the standings in Preds Pick to Click are as such. The listeners, now a bit of a cushion in the competition. They have 14 correct answers. Joe Rexrode in second place with 12. Robby with 10. And Michelle Knezvik creeping up behind with 7. Michelle's been on a heater.
Slowly but surely, guys.
So we'll see if that continues this time around. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in today's participant, Thomas from Murfreesboro. Thomas, what's going on?
How's it going, you guys?
We appreciate you taking time to join us. So, Thomas, who is your pick to click tonight for the Predators as they take on the Dallas Stars?
Well, I hate to take the cop-out answer, but I got to go with the man of the hour, Philip Forsberg.
Thomas, we appreciate it. Philip Forsberg, the selection tonight by Thomas in Murfreesboro.
I hope it gets traded today, Thomas, just for you doing that.
Forsberg, the selection by Thomas. Joe, you are up first today in our portion of the competition. You are picked to click tonight for the Nashville Predators.
Can I forfeit this and get a first pick over the listener? Like if I forfeit the number 2 pick, can I trade up?
No, we are not trading.
Trade up for a future conditional first round pick.
You'll have to take that up with the suits, as Darren McFarland would say.
Yeah. Let's see. Would that be Chase McCabe then?
That'd be Chase McCabe. Yeah.
He looked very nice yesterday at the Pecorino lunch, by the way, for the record.
Sure that he did.
Gosh. Who's going to score against Dallas? I'm trying to think of something that goes with Pecorino night. No, I'm not picking UC Saros to score a goal.
Come on, Joe. You got it.
Yeah. But I'm going to go with possibly the next number to hang. 59. I'm going to go with 59.
I like that. Yossi, the selection by Joe Rexrode. Michelle Knezovic, Forsberg, and Yossi off the board. Your pick to click tonight for the Nashville Predators.
Well, I was going to go with Yossi because I picked him last time and he scored.
Good. I'm glad.
Joe. But
yeah, just keep playing Chelsea Dagger over there.
I think I'm going to go with back to my roots, Ryan Johansson. He has not scored in quite a bit, and I think it's time.
Ryan Johansson, the goal scorer tonight. I thought you might go with Patrick Kane there, Joe. What do you think of that? Just keep that thing going.
Do I go Kane or Taves? I just don't know.
Forsberg, Yossi, and Johansson off the board. I mean, this has got to be as far as Matt Duchene's made it in a long time. I'm having the same struggle I made the other day between Duchene and Jeannot, and I picked wrong the other day. I'm going Duchene. Give me Matt Duchene to score tonight. I think he gets one in the back of the net tonight on the power play for the Predators.
I see this is BS too. How do you get Duchene with the last pick? This is terrible.
He was right there for you.
I know. I'm not blaming you, but come on.
Joe picks first, and he still is like, how did you get him, Robby?
Well, I know, and that's the thing. Now it guarantees Duchene will score tonight because I just didn't immediately take Duchene. I've done that too, and it's worked out. I totally botched this, but at least I'm not a Blackhawks fan on the radio in Nashville.
Am I?
Apparently,
according to people on the text line sometimes.
People on the internet are saying it, so it must be true.
No, because I just thought you didn't like the song, and I knew they play it, but I didn't know that Preds fans knew it.
Yeah, I know. We've heard your explanation.
Joe is just making up lies now.
I know.
You've been a Blackhawks fan in disguise all along.
Okay,
Wolf
and Joe,
in sheep's clothing.
And Joe, you are a Michigan State fan. You're a Vandy homer. You're a Vols homer.
Exactly.
Bring them all on.
I love the team you hate, and I hate the team you love.
As Keith on the text line points out, Joe, this could be an opportunity once again for you today to really deliver a speech that you gave the last time we saw Pecorino in goal for the Predators. That may involve, a certain old phrase of, winning one for the Gipper. And you tried that one time with Pecorino. This could be applicable again today, maybe for the last time ever. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true. And I actually even brought up Newt Rockney's speech with a high note.
You did
earlier. I was actually worried. I was like, wait, does he know what that is? Yeah. Hockey guy, you never know. But no, I will not be doing that. I will not be saying that. I did. I'm writing about Pekka today.
Yes.
And so I went back and read some of the stuff from last year, and I'd forgotten that I actually made a joke about that in my column when he announced his retirement. I wrote like, win one for the Peck.
Win one for the Pecker.
Stop!
Win one for the Pecker.
One of the great moments of all time in the history of Robby and Rexrode.
That should be an FCC violation to play that 2 times in a row. Let's add that to Michelle's list of sins today.
I don't know that I've ever laughed as hard in the history of this program as I did that day. That was good stuff.
Yeah, a fine day for the program.
Day Jeremy Pruitt would be proud of on the program.
It really was. For people who don't believe it, I'm sure some it was a totally honest mistake. I swear
it was.
I mean, I'm sure it was, Joe. I'm sure, Joe.
Well, you're the one who keeps playing it, so I'm keeping a list.
Oh man,
why don't you mix that in with some Chelsea Dagger, like scratch a little bit, like get Chelsea Dagger, Chelsea Peck. Well, no, never mind.
No, Joe, stop.
All right,
just really digging that hole. Just keep going. Oh man. So Joe, what do you think of this matchup tonight? I mean, it's Preds Stars, so you know what it's going to be anyway. Like, there's not going to be any easing in. It's going to be physical. These two teams really don't like each other. It was a parade to the penalty box the last time these two teams played each other. How do you factor in kind of your normal emotions of, number one, it's the Stars. Number two, they're right behind you in the standings in the playoff race. And number three, you're retiring the most beloved player's jersey in history tonight that most of these guys played with at some point in their career. How do you think all of that together flows into what we're going to see come out on the ice tonight?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've talked about the whole, again, I haven't found the website that has, this is a worthwhile website. All of the sports results of teams that honored someone, or even like banner raising ceremonies of any kind, and then how the team did. We know the Titans have had some struggles with, big honoring people days. So my buddy Vinny from Nolensville was at the Lundqvist ceremony. He's a huge Rangers fan from New York. He was actually at the Peck Arena thing yesterday too. Huge hockey guy. He went to that. They lost that game. So it happens. Certainly there's no guarantee. You would hope that it would help the Preds. But then again, would they not already have maximum energy? It's the old cliche of controlled aggression that you need to you need to be contained and you need to not be overly emotional. Are they going to be too emotional tonight? Yeah, we'll see. But if you can get this win right now, they have a game in hand, but if you can get this win in regulation and open back up a 6-point lead on them, that's big right now. And I understand that, there's still 30 games after that, but that would be a really good response to make it 2 wins in a row, reopen the 6-point lead and kind of stabilize yourself going into the next big event for this team and the franchise.
Yeah, would be a huge response. Stars won last night in overtime on a goal that had to go to review. They went 3-2 against Winnipeg. So, we're getting close to the point where Winnipeg, unless they just start playing much better than they are right now, they're going to play their way out of it. They're not there yet, but they're going to play their way out of it if they keep being as consistent or as inconsistent as they've been as of late. But from Dallas's standpoint, that's a huge extra point they got last night to get that win in overtime. And if they win tonight, if Dallas wins this game in regulation, they're 2 points behind the Predators with 1 game in hand. So you're talking about maybe essentially being even at that point. So it's a massive game tonight for the Predators. I get it. Like you said, it's game 52 of the season. It's a massive game tonight for the Predators.
And they do play, I think, a couple more times. So, you have those 4-point games still to come. But, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. You get an hour of, by the way, did you see someone tweeted us? I don't know if it's real or not, but it's like the rundown of the whole thing. Did you see this?
I saw it. I have no idea what that is.
I read it. There's not, it's mostly a listing of like who's going to speak at this time, then who this person speaks at this time. So it's not like it's a fleshed out, what they're going to say. And I don't know if it's real, but hey, thanks for sending it to us.
Looks real,
but yeah, it looks legit. There's a lot of stuff leaking out these days around the Nashville Predators, but an hour of that, they're going to have, I guess it's going to be over at 6:45. So they're going to have, about 45 minutes to have their normal pregame routine, but that's just going to be, that's just a very different situation, obviously, than you normally have as a hockey player. So how does it affect the Preds? It's going to be very interesting to find out.
Lots of great responses to your win one for the Gipper speech on our text line.
Oh, goody.
WilsonCountyOnBay.com. I'm glad this has been revived today on the text line. We'll continue the discussion on the Predators. Take your thoughts on Pekka Rinne. What is your favorite Pekka Rinne memory as a member of the Nashville Predators? 615-737-1025. We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Did you see the Tennessee Titans? He has all the weapons to make it happen.
There's so much to pay attention to. Greeny from 9 to 11.
Ryan Tannehill is the most disrespected player.
Art and Hahn from 11 to 2.
You never stop punching. They've got to learn how to close the deal.
And the Paul Feinbaum Show afternoons from 2 to 6.
Are these legitimate contenders to the party?
Your exclusive home for ESPN Radio in the Music City.
ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Doors at Aces and rain. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. More bad weather on Wednesday, but Vanderbilt and Evansville played long enough for the fifth-ranked Commodores to score a 9-0 win. The game was called in the sixth inning after some dominant pitching by Vandy freshmen Devin Futrell and Bryce Cunningham. Futrell struck out 8 over 4 innings in his college debut and got the win. TJ McKenzie hit his first home run. He drove in 3. The Vandy boys host Army this weekend. Vanderbilt women's basketball will salute its seniors later today as the Commodores host Florida in the final regular season home game. Been a terrific year for Nashville's Jordan Cambridge, averaging 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, while also racking up over 100 steals and topping 200 for her career. And Coach Shea Ralph is proud, but says she's not surprised.
Jordan is one of those people and young women that you kind of dream about coaching. She is going to be a force as she grows and gets older.
Cambridge scored a career-high 21 at Kentucky last week. Earlier start time than normal today, 5:30 at Memorial. Meanwhile, sophomore Bella LaChance has been named to the SEC's community service team for her work with a number of groups, including Team Impact, Dancing Doors, and Hope Kids, plus Special Olympics. And a big finish for men's golf at the Prestige event out in California. Vanderbilt combined for a final round 270 to win the tournament by 10 strokes over Oregon. Individually, Reed Davenport was third, and Cole Sherwood came in fourth. That is the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Hillside Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free. Plus, a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Hillside Medical now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. It is a Preds Game Day. Our Preds Game Day broadcast brought to you by Hermitage Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens, and baths on the web at GoHermitage.com. We are taking your thoughts on Pekka Rinne, his jersey retirement taking place tonight at Bridgestone Arena. What is your favorite Pekka Rinne moment? We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Hal Gill, Preds radio analyst, former teammate of Pekka Rinne, coming up at 9:30. Let's go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and welcome in the great Jeremy K. Gover, who wants to weigh in. Gover, what's going on, man? How we doing?
I'm great. Hey, listen, whatever story I tell is going to be trumped by Hal Gill, I'm sure, because he's got way better information than I do. But, Robby, my favorite Pekka Rinne story is the one that you and I were both there for. We went we drove, so for those who don't know, Robby and I road tripped it to Chicago in the 2015 playoff, Game 6, and the Predators lost in Chicago, heartbreaker, by the way. and they didn't get blown out 8-0 or anything. Like it was a heartbreaker. And for those who don't know, what happens is for the media, you go downstairs, you go into the locker room, and you talk to the players first. Then you go into the coach, and then hear what he has to say, record that, or whatever you got to do, and then you go up back to your seat and you file your story, or in my case, you gave the audio to radio, whatever the case was. Well, it's always the coach last for the most part. So we go downstairs, we go to the locker room. It's obviously a ghost town because their season's over. It's like maybe a third pairing defenseman and like a fourth liner or something. There's not a whole lot going on, obviously. Everyone's conveniently in the shower, whatever. And so, we get our quotes or whatever, and we go talk to Laviolette. And then during the Laviolette press conference, we get a text, the four of us that are there, 3 of us, whatever it was from Nashville, from Kevin Wilson, the media relations director of the Preds. And it says, after Laviolette, please come back to the locker room. This is very unorthodox. And so we go back to the locker room after Laviolette's done, and we're like, what's this all about? And there stands, in an empty locker room, Pekka Rinne, who didn't want to leave until he talked to us because he knew we had a job to do. And he sat there for 5 to 7 minutes and answered our questions after his heart was ripped out of his chest and his season's over. And it just shows the kind of character that Pekka Rinne is and was, even as a player in the toughest situation. And that is my favorite Pekka Rinne story.
Yeah, that's great. Great call, Gover. We appreciate you, man.
Great stuff. And that kind of goes with the Winnipeg thing, that I was talking about. Like, in the worst moments, what are you? It's not, it's forgivable to me to not be like that. But when you are like that and even go out of your way, and like in this story, that says a lot.
Yeah. I mean, look, the guy he was so competitive. It was almost funny to me because especially in his, right around 2013, 2014, 2015, where quite frankly, the offense for the Predators just really wasn't there on most nights and they had to win games a certain way. It was always amazing to me because they were still so competitive and they would win games like 2-1 or 3-2 or whatever. But every time they went to a shootout, and let's just say they lost the shootout. I mean, the final score, one time, I think the final score was literally 1-0, and whoever they were playing against won in the shootout. And just like the personal affront that Pekka Rinne took to losing in a shootout, he was so mad, and he put so much of the blame on himself losing in a shootout, even though like you're looking around like, well, it'd be pretty nice if you could get it, like, 2 goals thrown your way every now and then. It was like amazing. Like just the losing in the shootout moments of Pekka Rinne, I think that's when he might have been his most upset. He hated losing in a shootout.
Yeah, that's, it's like in hockey, there's never more disagreement about what happened in a game than in a hockey locker room after a loss, because no player will ever blame the goalie.
Yep.
And now I don't know if all the goalies take all the blame, but he sure did. He could give up 1 goal on like 58 shots and it's his fault. And, a typical post-loss hockey response, goalie gives up 6 goals and it's like, we got to be better in front of fill-in goalie's name, So just a totally random observation about hockey for me there.
Yeah. Well, look, there are so many stories with Pekka in terms of like him being intentional with people. Like I can't tell you how many times at Centennial Sportsplex that they would be practicing back in the days where like you could go to practice and actually interact with people before COVID. Like I can't tell you how many times where, he's coming off a 35 save performance the night before or whatever. He goes out there for practice and they're about to be on a road trip and he hangs out, 15, 20 minutes by the stand, signing autographs and taking photos. I mean, you're talking about, in some cases, multiple times a week doing this. And he was always so intentional with his time. There were times where, I for whatever reason, I think I told this story last year when he retired, I couldn't, the timing wise, it didn't work out after a practice one time that I needed to talk to him for a story I was doing. So they flew to like, I don't know, Minnesota or wherever they were flying to. And all of a sudden I looked down at my phone and there's a number calling me that I don't recognize. And it's Pekka Rinne sitting at the team hotel. He's like, I know you couldn't talk to me earlier today, so let's do it now. Like it's 7:00 at night. That's just the type of guy that he was. So there's so many stories like that. I think we spent so much time talking about Pekka, the person, which is great. I also think we need to recognize that we're talking about a borderline Hall of Fame goaltender as well. Like the guy is He is the best player in the history of this franchise. And there are so many moments on the ice that stand out to me as well. I mean, we talked about the Cup final and the Vezina Trophy season, all these different things. I think one of the most incredible things that I've ever seen at that position was the way that he played in the 2011 series against Vancouver. On paper, the Predators had no business being in that series against Vancouver. Vancouver was so much better than that Predators team when you line up on paper. But I go back, I think it was game 2 where they tied up that series and won it in double overtime on a goal by Matt Halishchuk. Just go back and look at some of the saves he made in that game. It's incredible, the saves that he made in that game, just all series to keep them in there. You know, that was the year before he signed his contract. And that was when you were looking around saying, all right, they've got something here. Like, this guy is incredible. And then he just carried that through. But the 2011 series against Vancouver was some of the best goaltending I've ever seen in my entire life.
And it's interesting, you know, you bring up that series. One thing I've heard probably from you and some others is like the sort of the Canadian media, Vancouver, but maybe even like Canadian at large, just NHL media at large, and sort of some of the commentary and the view of Nashville and hockey here from that series, which honestly, I mean, I even saw some just ignorance from Pittsburgh media 5 years ago, but you know, think about that series, that perception, where things were here with this franchise, and think about this week. You know, yes, they scheduled the Pekka Rinne jersey retirement to be paired with the Stadium Series, but the Stadium Series is here. You know, look at hockey in Nashville, and how much has Pekka Rinne, how responsible is he for that? I'd say he's got a nice chunk of the credit for, you know, for lifting this franchise, the team, and by extension, the franchise, and all the other things that have gone along with it. I think that's an interesting thing to look back on now. Very different now than then.
Oh, totally different. And, you know, he's been there. I mean, think about just the different things he's been here for. I mean, you're talking about he was in goal when they won their first playoff series. He was in goal when they won the division for the first time. He was in goal when they made it to the Stanley Cup final for the first time, the first outdoor game. Like, pretty much all the milestones you want to go down, there's a good chance Pekka Rinne was the goalie for it. And that's rare to find. And you know, you're talking about a franchise still with the Predators that is relatively young in the grand scheme of things. And look, at some point, somewhere down the line, and look, maybe it's UC Saros, I don't know, but at some point, somewhere down the line, there's going to be somebody that comes in that may be a better goalie, or may break a win record, or may win a Stanley Cup. Like, all these things are probably going to happen at some point with a goalie in the Nashville Predators future. I don't know that it's ever going to be quite the same in terms of that part of it, like bringing a franchise along with you, building a fan base, those sorts of things. Like, this was a guy, and there's a very short list of these guys with the Predators, but this is a guy where the Predators fan base just loves him unconditionally. And you don't find that a lot in today's world of sports.
Right. And that brings it back to who he is as a person. And I think, look, I think it's a responsibility of a professional athlete, every professional athlete, to give their time and to be in the community and to make a difference wherever they are. But obviously he went so far above and beyond that. And I think everything about it, with reporters, with fans, with giving his time, to me, it speaks of an appreciation for his life and the fact that he's been able to have this platform and this life because he's good at stopping pucks, like he has it in perspective. And I think there's plenty of that in pro sports. There could be more of it, but I think he sets the example.
I think the most incredible thing to think about, and we're going to get to some of your reaction on our text line because we've got a lot to get to coming up next. Your favorite Pekka Rinne memory, 615-737-1025. I keep going, and I thought about this yesterday. The most incredible part about this week to me, when you strip away, just the accomplishments that he has and what he means to the city, was how close it was to not happening at all. He was drafted in a round that no longer exists. He was drafted in the 8th round. That's not a thing anymore in the NHL. Like the story is famous. They're going to look at, Nicholas Backstrom, and they're scouting games over there, and Pekka Rinne's in a warm-up, and you're like, oh, wow, look at that guy. He can play. Like like just how unconventional it was that he ended up as the goalie here, being in a round that no longer exists, and the path to find him is incredible. What that's turned into. It's like, it's not the same. And don't misconstrue what I'm saying here. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but like how close Tom Brady was to not being Tom Brady, whether it's the 6th round or the tuck rule. Like they lose the tuck rule game. Is he the quarterback the next year? Maybe not. I don't know. Like there's so many things to think about. And I just thinking about Pekka in that instance too. It's pretty incredible how his career played out.
Yeah. He could have been, playing in the Finnish league. I mean, or he could have a different team and found his way. Now you look at what a spectacular player he was, and you figure it's kind of like I'm looking at Tanner like now, and it's like, I don't know how this exactly happened, but at some point he was going to break through, right?
You think?
But still, you don't know. And there are great players and great careers that don't happen because of circumstance.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on Pekka Rinne on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. The 2022 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series is coming to Nissan Stadium this Saturday. The outdoor game has the Preds taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and will also feature performances by Miranda Lambert and Dierks Bentley. It's going to be a party, and Preds fans, you're not going to want to miss it. Visit NHL.com/Stadium Series for more details and to purchase tickets. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Every Thursday at 1 on Darren, Donick, and Chase, we're joined by Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman for the best inside knowledge on the NHL. It's all brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Gary Ashton here. I love hearing people say, don't sell without the intel, because it means they're really embracing our message. Now's a great time to sell your home in Nashville, but you need the intel only the Gary Ashton team can provide. Intel that helps you sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel to win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Let everyone else get the same information and compete for the same properties, while you get the Intel edge with the Gary Ashton team, the official real estate team for your Tennessee Titans. And if you're looking for a great career, join our team. We added 65 new agents last year, and we want you to join us this year. Remember, don't sell without the intel. And if you're looking for a great career, the Gary Ashton team wants you in 2022. Call 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com today.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. I started my first business in the basement of a factory over 30 years ago. We had no heat and no air conditioning. Instead of customers, our office visitors were rats, birds, flies, and snakes. Our office flooded often, and we used blankets as our office walls. We were broke and needed help. That's why I created Patriot Software, to help small business owners with simple payroll for 1 to 100 employees. And if you need help, we will help you for free. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll processing free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Men, what if I told you that now you're able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMDformen.com.
Winter's a bad time for your furnace to go out, but it's never a bad time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Hey everybody, Robby Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's. Jasper's is a casual restaurant and bar located on West End Avenue, equipped with TVs, a game room available for private events, a grab-and-go market, and free parking. Yes, free parking. This neighborhood spot is Nashville's new go-to restaurant and bar. You can try their selection of elevated bar food ranging from appetizers to chicken sandwiches to flatbread pizzas and the famous smash burger, as well as any of their delicious cocktails. So visit my friends at Jasper's, located at 1918 West End Avenue, and tell them that Robby sent you.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
With 30 saves and the shutout, number 35, Pekka Rinne!
What a great salute he and the team are receiving now, and I can't think of anyone who deserves it more.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
I am.
To put it simply, thank you, Pekka Rinne, for all the memories you've left with us here in Smashville.
That's a really cool moment from Pete Weber this past season when Pekka Rinne announced his retirement. A nice montage video, and kind of the clip they're pulling from there is Pekka's last game as he's taking his lap around against Carolina, and he was announced. Obviously, if you were in the building that night, that's something that you'll remember for the rest of your life. What a scene, what a moment that was for Pekka Rinne. We've heard from a lot of people today about their favorite memories, and some of them are on ice, some of them are off ice. We've had a lot of that, though, just kind of his last game as a Predator. You know, there are better ways to top it, like, you know, winning a Stanley Cup. I'm sure if you asked Pekka, would have been a nice way for him to go out. He would have liked that. But really, in the grand scheme of things that are realistic and not the extreme of winning a Stanley Cup, it's hard to imagine Pekka going out much better than he did there with a shutout and taking kind of a victory lap after.
Yeah. And, you know, it was an incredible scene made by 5,000 fans. Remember that they had not yet, it was the limited COVID crowd. They were about to go up to, I think, 12 for the playoffs, but it was still a limited crowd. And still, it was like in my memory, it was the entire arena chanting his name. You know, in reality, it was a third full, but that's how much, you know, emotion and intensity went into that, which was, you know, again, it was impromptu. I mean, I actually asked him again yesterday. You know, he'd been asked this a million times, but hey, I can't come up with original questions. Like, did you really know in your mind? And, you know, he said no, but, you know, but he also said that did help. That helped. The fact that situation happened and that you couldn't possibly top that, really, especially because, again, it wasn't planned. Like, his teammates had to push him back out there to go do the lap.
Yeah.
He said, you know, that was a factor in the whole process of figuring out if he wanted to retire or not.
Let's go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Got a texture that says, my favorite Pekka moment isn't anything big. I took my sister to her first Preds game a couple years ago, and during pregame, Pekka was just being himself, tossing pucks to young fans and waving at fans with signs. It endeared him to my sister, and it made her become even more interested in the players. Then her interest actually turned into loving the game, and today she is a huge Preds fan with a ton of Preds gear and goes to as many games as she can. And now I've made a buddy to go to games with because of that as well. Like, I hear that story, and I think to myself, like, how many people have similar stories of, you know, Pekka doing something that really doesn't seem like a big deal in the moment, but that endears you forever, and all of a sudden you've got a fan for life at that point.
Yeah, and again, the Preds, I think, do a really good job, probably better than most pro sports franchises, of creating situations like that with fans and kids. And there are a lot of other guys who he's played with or are on the team now who are good at, but again, standard setter is what he was in that way too.
Yeah, no question about it. Let's go back to Twitter. Boyd texting in says, Game 3 of the Cup final, the roar when his name was announced was deafening. Then after the first goal by Pittsburgh, he just said, no mas. You know, Ryan from Nashville called in earlier in the show, talked about not only that game, but the pregame warmup where, you know, he got lit up in the first couple of games against Pittsburgh. There was is Pekka going to start Game 3 stuff that could have pretty easily been shut down by the head coach at the time, that wasn't shut down by the head coach at the time. And just the response from the crowd in warmups there, like I said earlier, I mean, the whole bowl was full, and they were pretty much just chanting his name the whole warmup. It was pretty awesome.
It was. And by the way, Lavi blamed the media afterward too, in case
he did.
Anyone forgot. It was our fault.
He did. All it took was hey, Pekka's going to start game 3.
No.
That's all it took.
Oh, well.
I got a texter that says, I think Steve McNair and Pekka Rinne are probably the 2 most beloved players in Nashville sports history. Both are borderline Hall of Famers. It's a shame both came so close and lost. That doesn't make them any less loved in Nashville. Very happy for Pekka tonight. It's very well deserved. It's interesting to think about, and to that point, I don't know whether or not Pekka's going to get in the Hall of Fame. I think there will be consideration for it. Remember, it's not just what are you in the NHL. It's, there's international play that's taken into account. There's a lot of different things that are taken into account for the Hall of Fame. My guess is, and I don't know this, but my guess is he's probably going to come up just short of the Hall of Fame. It is interesting to think about, like, if they win 2 more games in that Pittsburgh series, does that push him over the top? Because I think it does.
Yeah, maybe and I have no idea if it's more so that true of his situation or McNair's situation, but I mean, certainly we've talked about both things.
1 yard in McNair's case,
right? 1 yard and then win overtime. But yeah, and then this, it may well be to the international point, and I think. We can get mad all over again about the NHL thing. I mean, Pekka Rinne potentially could have been in goal for Finland in Pyeongchang.
Yeah.
And what if he won gold there? That would be a really nice boost for his chances, but we didn't get to see that.
We did not. We did not get to see it.
So
And
I'm still mad.
Oh, I'm mad too. But we did see Ellie Tolvanen in that tournament. Could have been teammates in that tournament.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Tolvanen would have been the best player still on Finland back then, even with all the pros. He was the greatest player in the history of hockey. Per some unnamed reporters.
Did someone write that? Yeah,
I don't remember, man.
I will say, I don't think that reporter was alone. There was a lot of hype about Ellie Tolvanen. I wonder from that standpoint, and Saros has talked about this a little bit. We know what he means here to the city. Like, what does he mean for Finland? Like, I would imagine when Pekka Rinne goes home to Finland, he's a rock star. Like Yossi is the greatest hockey player in the history of Switzerland. It's not really close. Like, he's the greatest hockey player in the history of Switzerland. When he goes back home, I imagine there's a lot that goes with that. Like, I don't know that it's necessarily Roger Federer and then Roman Yossi, but there's a lot of love that goes with it. Like, I would imagine Pekka's a rock star over there in Finland.
Yeah, there's a lot of, obviously Finland has a lot of great players.
Sure.
But
a lot of which play for this team.
Yeah. I mean, he might be a little bit more popular than Mika Salamaki, for example.
I would say so. No disrespect to Mika.
Mika, he is Finnish, right? Or did I get that wrong?
No, he's Finnish.
Yeah. Okay. Whew. Yeah. But that's the thing. So he's back there. And remember now, a year ago when, in fact, and maybe this is instructional as we talk about a report today about Philip Forsberg, but there was a report right, I think the day before that last game that we didn't know was last game, about Pekka Rinne and a Finnish pro team and like this huge contract they were trying to offer him and all that stuff. I mean, obviously he would be a huge draw in his home country. I honestly thought that maybe we might see that, but according to him, he is cross-country skiing. Also, I don't want to like scoop myself, but he told me he's playing forward in a beer league and he's smoking people. So,
I love that. That's amazing.
He said he has silky hands. So yeah. There you go. See, I'm scoop myself. Dang it.
I will say, behind the scenes, one of his favorite things to do was when there was a little bit of downtime and when there were practice days that he could just get out there, and maybe there's 2-3 days in between a game. A lot of times the pads come off. He puts the normal skates on because there is a difference between forward skates and goalie skates. And he got out there and just twirled around, just started ripping slap shots. He can shoot the puck pretty well.
That's what I hear. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really know that. So and he also had there was some Finnish like baseball like game that he grew up playing, but I forget what it's called.
Hey, multiverse. Maybe he comes back as a forward.
Well, so Hal Gill, who we're going to have next, asked him yesterday about, being in hockey. And I asked him yesterday, like, what about GM Pekka Rinne? And he's non-committal, but it was pretty funny. Mason and Gil are like, please don't go into broadcasting, okay? Like, and then Pekka's like, then Pekka's like, well, they need subtitles anyway. So
that's great stuff. When we come back, we will be joined by Hal Gill, Preds radio analyst, former teammate of Pekka Rinne as well. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
This is Tanner Janot, and this is Smashville.
And now down the right wing side, Tanner Janot. His shot, he scored! Tanner Janot with the shot!
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The 2022 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament is back in Nashville as Bridgestone Arena hosts the annual celebration of SEC's Women's Hoops March 2nd through the 6th. Join us and experience the bright lights of the Music City as we crown a champion. Tickets are on sale now, so contact your university ticket office or head to secsports.com. SEC Women's Basketball. It just means more.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, welcomes you with a special offer on the NHL, an official sports betting partner of BetMGM. Simply place a $10 moneyline wager on any game, and if either team scores a goal, you're going to win $200 in free bets, regardless of your bet's outcome. Just use the bonus code 1025GAME200 when you make your first bet. Plus, you'll earn BetMGM rewards points that can be redeemed for online bonuses or converted into comps for rooms, restaurants, and more at over 20 MGM resorts nationwide. Just download the app or go to BetMGM.com and use the bonus code 1025GAME200 to win $200 in free bets if a goal is scored in the game you wager on. Visit BetMGM.com for full list of terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Your home value is way up. You can use that money now to pay off credit cards or remodel your house, or both. Hey, Willie Donner for Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto can convert that home equity into cash as little as 2 weeks from now with no cost to you and zero hassle. Mike and Joan in Brentwood called Loan Pronto and they did a Loan Pronto zero cost cash out refi. They got a check for $100,000. They used $50,000 to pay off all of their credit cards and a car loan. Use the other $50K to upgrade their master bath and kitchen. They locked in a new APR in the 2s and lowered their total monthly bills by hundreds of dollars. Hello? What are you waiting on? Call Loan Pronto now and convert your home value into cash. Put that money to good use. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or lowpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as the Nashville Predators take on the Tampa Bay Lightning this Saturday night. Puck drops at 6:30, but the party starts at 6 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee ensures children and teens, especially those who need us most, are ready to read, ready for class, ready to graduate, ready for their career, and ready to serve the community. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
Mark Howard here to tell you about my friends at Apple Collision Centers. We all know being in a collision is not fun. Neither is all the stress that comes with it, and that's where Apple Collision comes in. Let them take care of everything for you. That's insurance, repair, and your rental details. They've got 3 convenient locations in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Their managers, Tommy Rippey, Daniel Neville, and Marty Denson, combined for over 75 years experience. So stop in today and tell them Mark sent you. Online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Tonight, the Blue Raiders continue their homestand at the Glass House against Marshall. Coverage begins at 5:30
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Ryan Johansson. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby.com. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you. And we go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Preds radio analyst Hal Gill. Brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts, featuring their newest next-gen location at 500 Cool Springs Boulevard. Skillsy, what's going on? How we doing?
I'm doing all right. Just gearing up. We had a nice alumni dinner. I got to see a bunch of old Preds last night. We got a big game tonight. Pex is in town. This is a fun time of year for a Preds fan.
Yeah, I would say it's about as fun as it gets this week. So, Hal, with that in mind, what do you think? What do you think tonight's going to be like for Pekka? What do you think it's going to be like for the fans, the city, just the environment tonight at Bridgestone Arena? Sure to be a special one. We've never seen this before here in Nashville. What do you think it's going to be like?
Yeah, well, it's tough because no one really likes Pekka. You know, he's hard to get along with. You know, it's
got a grin and bear it all night, don't you?
It's just like you're gonna have to bite through this one, bite on a towel. Yeah, no, it's just like seeing him last night, and I haven't seen him in a while, and he's just like everyone loves this guy. You know, and it's not just old teammates. It's not. It's everyone. Management. Owners, they're so appreciative of what he's done, let alone the fans, the hospitals, best buddies. Like everyone yesterday came together for that luncheon, and you could see how much he's meant to this city and meant to the organization. So it's going to be awesome, and he has such a good way about him where he's so humble, but so appreciative, and he doesn't. I don't know how he does it. You know, it's like he accepts the praise that you give him and pays it forward more often than not to everyone else. But he's so humble while he's doing it, and it's just, I honestly, talking to him a little bit last night, I feel like he's just real proud, you know, and not in a bad way. It's just he's so proud to be part of this community, part of this team, and I think he's going to be a little bit overwhelmed. I think this whole week is overwhelming for a lot of people, but for him, I think it's going to be a lot. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be a special event.
Well, Hal, I figured I'd ask you for like your best Pecorine story, but actually, I just need some details. I need some fleshing out of details here. You guys did a great job yesterday at the luncheon, by the way. Really enjoyed the interview, but I need to know. So, did he actually do a cartwheel toward the beer cart? What kind of beer are we talking? How many beers per hole? Like, give us a little more on the Pecorine first time you were hanging out with the dudes at the golf course.
Yeah, no, you know what? It's anytime you get traded to a team, it's like, okay, what are these guys all about? You know, am I on a team of nerds? Am I on a team of these party guys? Like, you're kind of feeling out where you fit in and who are your guys and who you're going to hang out with. And so, golfing with Shea Weber, like, Shea's younger than me, but he has more respect around the league than anyone. So I was thrilled to be with him, and I'm looking over at this big Finn goalie and like, what's his story, and we see the golf cart pull up with the beer and all of a sudden Peck starts doing cartwheels out of his cart. And I was just like, this guy, and it kind of, I know it's a funny story, but it really sums up like everything he does, everything. When I play, after the practice, we're shooting, just playing 3-puck or whatever game we play after practice. He's not quitting on the puck. He's a complete competitor. And when he's doing it, he's smiling and laughing and enjoying it. And you go out golfing, if he sees beer, he's gonna celebrate it and have fun with it. And so I can't say it enough, like how great of a teammate he was, because he could balance both of that. He could have a good time, but when it came time to work, he's just a fierce competitor. So, I felt right at home. It was needless to say, I felt right at home when I saw Bex doing cartwheels for beer.
Well, Hal, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think obviously you have to be competitive to get to this point and to be successful as he was. But I think a lot of times people just see like the exterior of Pecker and like, all right, well, he's always happy. He's always in a great mood. He always does these things. But that guy was as competitive as I think I've ever seen a goalie be. What, just from your standpoint, what was it like to be a teammate with a guy that was just, you talk about never being out of a play. That's like the way he played the game. That was his style, is never being out of a play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, there's certain guys, and everyone, if you make it to a higher level, any higher level for that matter, you have to have a commitment to an effort every time. You're competitive, and all the things you do, grit, and be willing to overcome adversity. Pex does that to the nines. Like, he doesn't. There's no days off with him. If he's doing something. It was cool listening to his story because, we went in to have our hips looked at, and I was an old goat at the time, and they said, you need surgery, and I was like, I can't get surgery. I'm done. And I'm looking at Pex like, Pex is a goalie. He's going to have surgery on his hip. Like, and he wasn't young at the time. And so, he's over his 30s looking at surgery. And I'm like, oh, this is a tough decision. And the guy goes and wins a Vezina after that. And he talked about it. He really dialed in, ate right, got the right treatment, kind of took care of his body, took it to the next level. And, they're winning President's trophies, and he's winning the Vezina after a hip surgery. I could talk about it all day, how much, he takes pride in what he does and competes to every puck, and just an awesome guy and an awesome competitor.
And then another aspect of Pekka, Hal, you guys all do a great job. The Preds as an organization, obviously, I think they're, a standard setter in pro sports when it comes to, community involvement. But it also seems like, again, when you talk about the passion and enjoyment and everything, that Pekka Rinne, kind of takes it to another level. How would you describe him in that way, and what you've seen from him on that side of things?
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about it last night, a group of us saying, you retire from the NHL and especially the Preds. Like, the Preds have everything lined up for you. If you want to be involved, you basically just whisper what charity you want to be involved in, and they're going to make it happen. And so the Preds, and that's not just I played on teams in Montreal and Toronto. You kind of go and wave at the hospital. You kind of walk through and wave at everyone and say hi. But Nashville and the Predators are so good at helping you dive in. So you develop relationships with people that you're working with. And there's no better example than Mike McGuire, Pekka's best buddy. Him and Shea Weber were best buddies. And I'll say, like, I got home, we got back to Nashville after a long road trip, and Pex was like, hey, let's go for lunch. And I was like, awesome. The boys are going for lunch. And Mikey was with us. They didn't say anything about it. They didn't introduce him as a best buddy or anything. It's just Mikey was part of the group. And it wasn't, there's no cameras around. No one was doing anything. It was just, this is my buddy. And so we went out to lunch, and I got to meet Mikey the first time. And, I've developed a friendship with him, and everyone is kind of like part of the team. And so I think that goes a long way to, Pekka, of course, is bringing a lot of media attention everywhere he goes, but it really wasn't about that for him, and it still isn't. You can see he came back, and the first thing he did was do that luncheon for 365, and I think it's part of the culture, the grassroots. Maybe you start off with a team in the southern market, and you say, okay, we have to build it from grassroots up, and that's really stuck. You see guys carrying it over with, Roman Josi doing work, and everyone's kind of falling in line with what guys like that started a long time ago, but Pekka has carried that on, and it's a great tradition for the Predators and for Nashville.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. Hal Gill brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts, featuring their newest next-gen location at 500 Cool Springs Boulevard. Skillsy, tell us about your friends at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, let me tell you about it. Basically, well, let me say this. There's a new next-gen Dunkin' location coming up soon. That's at 1645 West Main Street in Lebanon. and that'll be coming up. There's some exciting grand opening things coming up. I believe it's going to be March 11th. So we'll be filling you in more on that as it comes along. But you can try the new spring feature items at Dunkin', include the salted caramel cream cold brew. It's going to get warm eventually, guys, I promise you. So you're going to want that. The Shamrock Macchiato made with Irish cream swirl. The roasted tomato toast. You can get that with hummus and tomato or avocado and tomato. It sounds delicious. You have to try Dunkin's delicious chocolate croissants, too. So go out there. I'm an egg sandwich guy pretty much every morning, and I get my Dunkin' Midnight. So always my go-to. It's easy. So go out and get your dunks.
Absolutely. Hal, appreciate you, brother. See you later tonight.
All right. It's going to be a good one, guys. Enjoy.
Absolutely. Hal Gill, Preds radio analyst, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, joins us every Thursday morning at 9:30. We'll come back. We'll continue to look ahead at the game tonight and get to quite the take from our buddy Jared Stillman yesterday. All that coming up on the other side. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Hit or miss showers will continue throughout the day, especially this afternoon and evening. High temperature up to 52 degrees. Watch out for localized flooding.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. We've brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and pendants. We have the styles and looks on every woman's wish list, things you can't find anywhere else. And for 2022, Genesis is now offering a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular styles in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2022 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Mid-State Sports League spring registration is now open. With 7 different sports to choose from, there is something for every player. Join Nashville's largest sports leagues and register as a free agent or bring your own team. Spring registration is now open for softball, sand volleyball, soccer, kickball, flag football, and basketball. For a full list of adult and youth leagues, check out midstatesports.com. That's midstatesports.com. It's no debate. Play Mid-State.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. Right now, you can do the complete job and get a great deal when you buy a set of Duralast brake pads and rotors. It's also AutoZone's national hiring event. We're hiring all positions, from sales to warehouse and drivers, both part-time and full-time. Visit careers.autozone.com or any one of our stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise and the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
1 win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
So I don't think John Hines was on the hot seat, last night or anything. But hockey is a really weird sport with how they fire the coach. And I try to, people would say, well, the Predators are different than everybody else, but they're really not. I know they didn't fire Barry Trotz for forever, and then they let him finish out the season or, what have you, and then they fired him. Or I guess they let his contract expire. I don't know. But hockey's a weird sport with how they fire the coach. And I kind of felt like had they lost last night and carried that cloud of a losing streak over their heads and had it, to Joe's point, it wouldn't have ruined Pekka's ceremony, but it certainly would have felt a little bit different than I think it's going to feel tomorrow and certainly Saturday. You could probably see some pretty high people pretty high up if they felt like there was just not a buzz in the city for the biggest week, for the franchise of the season, that you could see if things didn't go well, if a 5-game losing streak turned into a 6-game losing streak, turned into a 7-game losing streak, you could legitimately see Hines lose his job, just of what we know about the NHL. And I think that is averted. So is it the biggest win of the season? I mean, look, it's a non-comp. I said it.
You're not actually saying this, are you?
Oh yeah, if they had lost 7 in a row and lost in the Stadium Series game, I think that Hines could have very easily gotten fired next year.
Can you understand me?
Oh boy, that was quite the take from our buddy Jared Stillman yesterday on Jared versus Joe. Now I heard this before I heard Jared versus Joe, so he was talking about this earlier in the show. The idea that obviously the Predators won, so it's a moot point. But the idea of had they lost the Florida game and then lost tonight and then lost Saturday as well, maybe John Hines would have been on the hot seat at that point and could have been fired. I don't know what he's talking about. Like, I understand hockey, they fire coaches regularly. We talk about this. Like, hockey fires a coach pretty quickly. The Predators have had 3 coaches in the history of their franchise. John Hines has done a pretty good job since he's gotten here. The expectations going into this season, certainly outwardly, I think honestly a little bit inwardly too, were to not be as good as they've been so far this year. There is a 0% chance John Hines would have been fired, even if they'd have lost 7 games in a row. 0.0. So chalk that one up there with one of the hotter takes that Jared's had.
You're not being mean enough. I have to scream at him all the time. And just actually, I'm glad Michelle cut away. I completely lost my mind there. Like I was, I seriously, it was a little bit disturbing how much I screamed and clutched my hair. I'm sick of being the only one who yells at Jared. This is right now. I need
You're the only host in Nashville that yells at Jared.
That's right. I'm the only one willing to be honest about how stupid some of these takes are. I need you to scream at him now. I mean, you can be mean to Jared. I know that you don't like being mean to people, but this calls for you to scream. And Michelle, if you'd like to play Chelsea Dagger again in honor of Jared, I mean, if we have a gong, like a gong show, whatever we can do here. I mean, he needs to. That's one of the dumbest takes I've ever heard.
It was pretty bad, and I will say, like, every now and then Jared will go down a rabbit hole where I'm just like, it's an interesting place to start connecting the dots in your mind.
It's Toonces. It is. You drive it off the cliff.
Yes. Well, I think my text to you all was, does he actually believe this? Because I wasn't listening.
I think he does.
So he went further into it, like basically like, well, what about like the Laviolette? Now listen, we've talked about this. There's no doubt in this league, the coach gets blamed more and the coach gets fired quicker than in the other leagues in America. So that's true.
Yep.
And it is true that Peter Laviolette got fired, but again, that was that was years in the making, that firing. John Hines' very short tenure has been actually overachieving relative to expectations. I mean, and the idea that like the higher ups, we lost the Stadium Series. Sorry, John, you got to go. Like they are exceeding expectations. And yes, I believe you're right, Robbie. I believe they're exceeding not just external, but internal expectations. So, dude, I mean, I don't know. All I know is that Jared, I think, was hoping we were going to spend like half the show about this today. And we've only talked about it in the last segment. So sorry for that, Jared. I know that you love us putting your name in our mouths, but we had to wait till the very end of the show.
Also, I think it's pretty clear in some of the things that have come out since then, the relationship between Laviolette and some of the inner workings there was not great at the end.
Oh, exactly.
That's not the case with John Hines right now.
I mean, as far as I know, I think John Hines is answering the calls and texts of David Poile. I don't know. I don't know this for a fact, but I think so. Yeah, I mean, no, it's the whole thing had gone sideways. Like I said yesterday, I mean, Vinkin is asking, Hines and Poile, or Hines and Laviolette about like the potential firing for about a month before it happened. I mean, it's I don't know, man.
Peter, are you going to be fired today?
Yeah.
Is it happening tomorrow? When do you think you'll be fired?
Yeah.
He did not ask it like that, by the way.
No, he did not. But he did ask about his job status a lot. And I think Laviolette maybe got a little sick of that.
Yeah.
just I don't know, just some intuition I have on that. But
just spitballing here.
Yeah, just throwing it out there. He may not have enjoyed that too much. But no, I mean, John Hines, I just, it's amazing. Like, I don't know how you come to that. I don't know how someone, I respect Jared's hockey knowledge. Some of Preds fans get after Jared and all this stuff. And yeah, Tanner Jeannot, Victor Arvidsson, everybody has bad takes. But I just don't know how you actually go step by step incrementally and get yourself to John Hines may have been in trouble with his job this week.
It almost kind of felt like he was talking himself into it as he was saying it. Like, as he's talking about it, he's like, oh yeah, maybe so.
Well, but I also think there was some, God, did I say that out loud? Oh, crap. Now I got to figure out a way to explain it. So I'm sure today, Jared, you'll have a very good segment for us further explaining this point of view. It's a doozy, baby. It is a doozy.
It is quite a doozy. Before we get out of here, just another reminder, be in your seat. If you're going to the game tonight at Bridgestone Arena for the jersey retirement, be in your seat around 5:45, 5:50. The ceremony is going to start at 6 o'clock.
6
I
o'clock.
realize it's earlier than normal, but make sure you make an effort to get there. With the weather being what it is, you may want to leave even earlier than you think you need to leave at this point. Doors are opening at 4:30 tonight at Bridgestone Arena.
Yeah, Pecorine Day, cut out early. You cut out early. It's basically a Nashville holiday, so cut out early from work. Be all right.
Yep, going to be an awesome environment tonight. And then, oh, by the way, we've not talked much about this today. It's a pretty darn crucial game tonight for the Predators as well. 2 points on the line against Dallas. It would be a big deal if they could win this game in regulation.
No doubt. Also, Philip Forsberg may be traded. Lots of stuff going on. Oh, also Stadium Series this Saturday. Lots of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff going on, and we're going to be back here tomorrow to discuss everything that goes along with it. That's going to do it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. Hope everybody has a wonderful time tonight, either going to the Preds game or watching the Preds game. We will be back tomorrow morning to discuss the game itself, look ahead to the Stadium Series, and discuss Pekarine's jersey retirement as well. Hope everybody has a good rest of the day. Darren, Donick, and Chase coming up on the other side. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Take us wherever you may go.
There are two guys on my untouchable list.
Shoot us in anywhere, anytime.
Every team's got those. That's my point.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now, and they have same-day delivery. Use Social Furniture's financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time,